Breaking Kayfabe promises interesting out-of-the-ring lives from our performers that we've been watching in the ring so long. And our guest today is a very interesting in-ring life and out-of-ring life. You're one of the, you might be the most consistently spoken about person in wrestling for the last 20 years. You think that would be accurate?
Is this going to break into an arm wrestling?
No, absolutely.
Well,
I thought Over the Top needed a sequel, and
Great
you know
movie.
it wouldn't be me that would be in it.
movie.
But Vince Russo is my guest.
I don't know why people can't stop talking about it.
We're shot out of a cannon. Well, not only that, Vince, but my first comment to you was going to be, why does everyone hate you?
I think that's a little unfair, bro.
Do you think it's hate as fashion, like fans? It's become popular to boo you. Like it became popular to boo Cena in the ring, and Russo's a name that's supposed to get a boo, so it gets a boo.
It depends what audience you're talking about. Because I have to tell you, man, I do a show 5 days a week on Podcast One. And I also do a show on the Realm Network where I have paying subscribers. I recently ran a promotion where if they signed up for the Realm Network, I would call them personally and welcome them to the brand. Hundreds of people called up. So I called all those people, and I mean, I had anywhere from a 10 to 15-minute conversation with all of them. And I mean, they knew everything about my career, everything I did. You got two audiences. You got one audience that represents entertainment. Those are the people that love Vince Russo. Those are the people that love the Attitude Era. There hasn't been anything like it since. Then you have another audience. You know, the other audience, brutally honest, are an audience of marks. They believe wrestling is real. They don't want any entertainment involved. All they want to see is fake fights, and they take the business way too seriously.
So those are the people that are posting comments
Absolutely.
that are negative
Absolutely.
about you. But, so let's just take that audience then. Not heartfelt, not genuine in their opinion of you, maybe, because it's fashion. What reason would a wrestling fan have for hating you? Let's just take that.
What reason does Jim Cornette have for hating me? First and foremost, it's psychology. It's wrestling psychology. I grew up on the WWF Vince McMahon Sr., and what I saw, my first experience with professional wrestling was 1,000% entertainment. Yeah. That's what I grew up on. That's what I was a fan of. So, of course, when I became a head writer, that's what I knew, and that's what I enjoyed, and that's what I did. But like I said, on the other side of that spectrum, you just have people, grown men, grown adults, that just take wrestling way, way too seriously. And those are the people that, you know, the smallest majority have the loudest voice.
They post terrible things, you know. Does it bother you now, or did it ever bother you?
Oh yeah, it did. I mean, it really did bother me. But is this like a brutally honest thing?
I better be.
I'm Italian, bro. So I wear my heart on my sleeve. That's just the way it is. That's the way it always is. I mean, that's the way I've been. Nothing's ever going to be changed. A lot of bad things have been said about me. But I got to tell you, man, when I started seeing pictures of like Dave Scherer, Mike Johnson, Ryan Satin, and I actually put a face with those people criticizing me that never spent 1 minute in the legitimate wrestling business, not a second, and I saw who they were. Really, like it was like I just got knocked over the head with a sledgehammer. Like, seriously, bro? Like, I care what these people have to say. And once I really saw who they were,
it softened the blow.
Oh my God! I was like, that's the truth.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Fans loved the Attitude Era. They loved Raw on those Monday nights. When did it start to, if we're saying that people had a little bit of hate as fashion towards Russo, when did that start? Was it the jump to WCW?
It was when they put a face with the name. Keep in mind, nobody talked about me
because you were behind the
WWE.
scenes.
I was
sure.
behind the scenes. Listen, if we're going to be honest here, we got to be honest. I have no problem. You got to understand this. I have no problem calling people marks. People get insulted in wrestling when you call them a mark, which I think is ridiculous. When you call a wrestling fan that takes wrestling way too seriously and that literally buys into it and it's a work, just like they bought into me as this arrogant, pompous New York a-hole. That's not who I was. But they bought into it. They believed it. But here's the problem with wrestling. When you call people in wrestling marks, that insults them. And what that tells me is it's insulting you because what? You're embarrassed that you take it so seriously. You're embarrassed that you think this crap is real. I am a mark for so many things. And I mean, by mark, I mean if I support somebody with money. I paid $300 for me and my daughter to go see Rihanna. I have no problem sitting here and saying I'm a Rihanna mark. I'll support her. I'll pay a lot of money to go see her in concert. You and I talk about the honeymooners. Right. I'm a honeymooner mark. If I see a nice piece of honeymooner memorabilia and it costs a couple $100, I might buy that. So the fact that I'm buying that and I'm supporting that, I'm a mark for that. I'm very proud of people that I'm a mark for.
Why is it negative for wrestling, though?
Because they take it as an embarrassment. Because a mark in wrestling literally is, first of all, bro, we all know what the marks look like. I mean, let's face it. They look a certain way. They somehow along the lines have convinced themselves that this is real. And these are grown men. Dave Meltz is my age. Do you listen to the things he says on a weekly basis? How seriously he follows wrestling in Japan and he knows all these Japanese. Like, are you freaking kidding? You're a freaking mark, bro. Nobody loves baseball more than I do. Baseball's not my life. I enjoy baseball. Baseball is a form of entertainment. It's not my freaking life. And you could say, okay, Meltzer does it for a living. I do podcasting for a living. Podcasting is my job. That's how I earn money. These guys, the Kellers, the Meltzers, all the guys that fall into that category, they're grown men who take a fake sport so seriously that they should be embarrassed when you call them a mark. That's the problem. They're embarrassed when you call them a mark because they know. Meltzer's got to sit there and say, my God, I'm a 57-year-old man. I know every Japanese wrestler since 1920. Something's got to be wrong with me. Yeah, bro, something is wrong with you. And I'm trying to help you by pointing that out to you. Something's wrong with you.
What if he were a fan? He didn't write a newsletter, but he were a fan who was intensely passionate about wrestling and knew every Japanese wrestler since 1922. Would he be less annoying?
Here's the line.
Yeah, what's the line? That's what I'm asking.
If you take it way too seriously. If you ever listen to a show with Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, you know what it sounds like, bro? It sounds like a parody of a wrestling show by two guys that are grown-ass adults, and they're taking this thing way too seriously. That's exactly what the show sounds like. And I got to be honest, I do a show on Podcast One called Castrating the Marks. And I really believe I'm trying to do them a favor. I play their own clips on my show. I take the clips and I'm like, do you guys hear yourselves talk? For 1 second, do you hear yourself? I'm honestly trying to do them a favor to let them understand, bro, there's more important things in life than fake freaking fights.
That term right there, fake fights.
Right.
That drives some people crazy.
Yeah. Why? Wrestling's a television show. It always was a television show.
So, like, why could we both right now agree and tell a Breaking Bad fan that the show is fake? But if you said that the wrestling show was fake, not only the fans would be insulted, but the wrestlers would be insulted.
They're marks.
The wrestlers.
There's a lot of marks working in the ring today. More marks than I've ever seen in my entire life. Bro, I got to tell you, when I worked during the Attitude Era, I'm telling you, I was in every single locker room. When I worked in the Attitude Era, it was all about business. Towards the end of my TNA run, when I started seeing these younger guys come in, and they didn't handle it like a business. They loved wrestling so much that I swear to God, some of them literally would have paid us to allow them to wrestle on TV. They forgot about, and that's my whole thing with the flip-flop and flying. I've been in this business long enough, and so have you, Sean. I've been in this business long enough to understand every single wrestler, you have a shelf life. You're only going to be able to make money for X amount of years, okay? And you've got a family to support. You're not going to be able to do this forever. So from a business point of view, what you want to try to do is prolong this career as long as possible. Mm-hmm. You want to make money as long as possible because you don't want to be 42 years old when you've been a wrestler your entire life. Now Vince kicks you to the curb, and now what? I'm going to go work indie shots for $200-300.
Right.
So you, from a business point of view, you want to work as long as you possibly can and stay healthy. That's where the entertainment aspect comes in. If you're an entertainer and you don't have to take these crazy, ridiculous bumps, you're going to make money in this business for much longer.
So what you're talking about specifically, I just want to be clear, is the risks that some of the younger guys in TNA said, oh, well, I got to, like they weren't basing their performance on crowd reaction or saying something interesting or being interesting. They were doing it strictly from a physical standpoint. How high could I jump today?
For the pop of the crowd.
Right.
For the pop of the crowd. For Meltzer to give their match a 5 stars. That's what they were doing it for. And at the end of the day, does Dave Meltzer put money in your pocket?
Well, was it your responsibility to talk to these guys?
Oh, I always try to. In one ear and out the other. And I would just say, bro, go out to the ring, kill yourself. When you're 35 years old, your career is going to be over, and then you're going to sit there, and that moment's going to come when, oh, that's what Vince Russo was trying to tell me.
When I looked at, well, first of all, I like you. Okay, so if anything counts, I like Vince Russo, but I never worked for Vince Russo. So would I have this opinion if I worked for you? Are you difficult to work for?
Well, it depends. If I was working in the WWE right now, I would be very difficult to work for, and I'll tell you why. When you work for me, there's one thing I ask, that you have pride in yourself, and you have pride in yourself, and you have pride in your trade, and you go out there every night and give 100%. I don't care if you mess up. I don't care if you screw up. All I care about is that I watched you. I wrote something. We went over it. I watched you, and whether it was successful, failed, or mediocre, you gave 100%. And that's my frustration with today's business. I see the writing. I see the producing. There's no way Vince McMahon can leave a Monday Night Raw and look in the mirror and say, I put on the best damn show I possibly could. Wrestlers always give 100%. There's something about the animal called the wrestler that when they're in a ring in front of a crowd, very, very, very rarely will you see anybody phone it in. They give the effort. And I'm not taking anything away from any of the wrestlers today. The effort on their part is there. But I could tell you, as a guy that wrote, as a guy that produced, that effort is not there. That's why you have let's take a Bray Wyatt, for instance. Mm-hmm. You have this guy with such enormous talent, but the writers and the producers are not writing up to his talent. So they're writing crap for Bray Wyatt, which in turn is bringing Bray Wyatt down. A lot of people say about me, oh, well, yeah, Vince, you were successful in Attitude Era because you had the best roster in the history of wrestling. Yeah, exactly right. But what that meant was I couldn't give Steve Austin shit. I couldn't give The Rock shit. I had to write up to how great they were. That was the challenge. I mean, if I would have given Austin crap on a Monday night, he would have looked at me like, Vince, what are you smoking? You think I'm going to go out there and do? I knew I couldn't do that because as good as Austin was, Shawn and Brett and all those guys, I had to write up to their level. It's the complete opposite today, man. The wrestlers are coming down because of the creative that they're given.
Something else that maybe we've heard. Are you a misogynist?
Well, I give people massages.
Right.
I don't need, bro. Listen, that word.
Yeah, don't do the dumb thing. Don't do the I'm from Brooklyn. I don't
do. Bro, I was born in. I have no idea what that means. Is that a dirty word?
Do you hate women?
Oh God, no! You want to be?
Do you feel women are not on your level? You have a wife and a daughter.
And I've been married for 34 years.
Exactly. You might be the only one in the business.
Honest? You want to be honest? If I had my chance in wrestling to work with a roster of all women for 25 years or however long I did it, I would have wanted to do that in a heartbeat.
But you would have wanted Mae Young, Moolah, Judy Martin. You would have been at that time, right?
Yes.
You wouldn't have taken these guys.
No,
these girls.
But I love working with the women, and you know why? They listen. They listen. Here's the thing: the women know that it's a men's club, okay, and the women have the mentality that we're just happy to be here. So the women are always trying to outshine the men.
They work harder because they know that. Yeah.
So as a writer, when you give a woman direction, they tend to listen more because they want to go out there and they want to challenge the men and they want to take those spots. They were so much easier to work with over the years. I would take a woman's roster in a heartbeat.
See, now a fan doesn't know that, okay? The casual fan who's never written for TV, never been backstage, doesn't know that they take it more seriously backstage. They don't know that. So all we know, all the fan knows is what we hear and what we read. So in 2016, I want to read a quote to you. I want you to respond to it. In 2016, you said, as a Christian man, as a believer of the Bible, I don't believe that women were created to be leaders. I don't believe a woman was created to run this country based on the fact that the woman was taken from the man's rib.
Yeah.
So if we see that quote, can you see how maybe it might be perceived that you don't see women as on par with men? Why couldn't a woman run the country?
Well, because exactly what I said. I am a Christian guy. Well, there's two things you got to understand. Number one, I'm a Christian guy. What that means is Christianity is not a religion. Christianity means that I believe the Word of God, which is the Bible. Okay, and when you go back, and if anybody, and I did this for months, you study the book of Genesis, okay, the creation of men and women. It is crystal clear that men had a role and women had a role. Crystal clear. Men were the leaders. Men supported their family. Men took care of their family. You know, men were the breadwinners. The women were the support system. They raised the kids. They raised the next generation. And I've said many times, I think the role of this is the part they leave out. I think the role of a woman is more important than the role of a man. I've been married, and I also take into account, I've been married for 34 years. I've been married for 34 years because I have a clear role and my wife has a clear role. My wife raised 3 children. My kids are 31, 30, 27, and 22 now. I couldn't have done the job my wife did raising kids. To me, that's the most important role. Anybody can go out and get a job.
That's like saying a guy could only be a wrestler. So that's one thing, that raising the children, that's one thing a woman could do. Where do you draw the line then? If this is what your interpretation of Genesis was, can a woman save your life because she's a surgeon? Can a woman be a doctor?
Absolutely.
So where do I draw the line? A woman can't lead the country. You can't vote for a woman, but you'd go into surgery.
The leader of the free world? I don't believe a woman.
Why?
For everything that I read in Genesis.
But what would her cognitive thought process? How would it be different than a man if she had to make a decision?
Emotions. Emotions between a man and a woman men and women have completely different emotions. They handle circumstances completely differently. That's why women are so nurturing with their husbands and with their children. And that's so important because they're raising the next generation. Guys can't do that.
But I know guys that are more emotional than women. I know a guy named Jim Cornette that is more emotional than any woman I've ever met. Would you vote for Hillary Clinton or Jim Cornette?
Don't ask me that question. I wouldn't vote that year.
You would just take the year off?
Yeah. But see, that's the thing. People can take that and they can make that a negative. They don't give you the whole thing that I said. And what I said is, at the end of the day, I'll be the first person to say I honestly and truly believe that the woman's role is more important than that of the man's.
But you still see it as limited, the woman's role.
And so is a man's role. Yes, a woman's role is limited and a man's role is limited. I believe there are things that a woman can't do that a man can, And I believe there are things that a woman can do that a man can't. It works both ways. As I said, I could not have raised my children the way my wife did. I could not have done that.
Just a long list you'd have to make of what a woman would be able to do and what couldn't do. Is it only leader of the free world, or are there other things?
Nah, leader of the free world's a big one.
Okay.
I mean, it's a big one. Come
They
on.
could be doctors, right?
Yeah,
We can be
of
doctors,
course, yeah.
dentists.
Yeah.
Can they own wrestling companies in Tennessee?
Well, I don't know about that.
Okay, so are you a racist?
On what ground?
All right,
Give me
here's the
ground.
quote.
Go ahead, give me ground.
I'm an American. If I'm what should I do? I should do. I'm an American. If I'm watching wrestling here in America,
Right.
I don't give a shit about a Japanese guy.
Right.
I don't give a shit about a Mexican guy. I'm from America. That's what I want to see.
Right.
But
I'm a baseball fan. I don't watch Japanese baseball.
But
I'm
you
a
didn't love
baseball
Nikolai
fan.
Volkov? You needed the Russian bear, Ivan Koloff. You needed the ethnic
Listen,
heel.
there is enough good wrestling in the United States that I don't feel I have to go to Mexico to watch wrestling. I don't feel I have to go to Japan to watch wrestling. Just like I'm
Okay,
I'm a
so
huge
I gotta
baseball fan.
clarify. Let me
I'm a huge
clarify.
baseball. I don't watch Japanese baseball.
So you're talking about you don't want to watch the Mexican product, not that Mexican wrestlers can't wrestle in America.
My very first day on the job. Here's the problem we're having.
Well, we're sifting it out now.
They
This
make-
is why
they-
this
they-
is
they-
important.
They say what they want to say.
Who?
Whoever's made whoever.
You said that.
but out of context.
What was the context? Please put it in context.
My very first day on the job at WCW, and anybody can look. See, nobody ever wants to talk facts or numbers with me because that's why. I challenge people to come on my show all the time. If you got a beef with me, come on my show. Nobody will talk facts with me or numbers ever to my face because I will waste them. My very first job, my very first day on the job at WCW, I put the tag belts on Rey Mysterio and Conan. My very first day there. I put the belt on Booker T, who was being buried in that system for years and years and years. One of the most rewarding wrestlers I had ever met in my life. And Vince Russo comes along and Booker T's, I mean, that's...
So what did you mean by I don't give a shit about a Mexican guy? What does that mean then?
Okay, if I'm watching Raw this week, as a fan, Vince Russo, I'm not interested in Kalisto. I got no interest in this guy. I got no interest in him. What that makes me a racist because I got no interest in Kalisto?
Solely because he comes from a different country?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Listen, there's a thing about Mexican wrestlers and Japanese wrestlers that, again, are factual. And people, here's what they don't
Style
want to
you're
discuss.
talking about.
No, style has nothing to do with it. Style has nothing to
Okay.
do with it. What's the most important thing? Keep in mind, I'm coming from a writing perspective, not a mark perspective, not a 5-match star idiot, okay? I'm coming from a writing perspective.
Okay.
What's the most important thing? What does a character have to do?
It has to draw eyeballs.
It's got to relate to the person at home. Okay, a character, there has to be something about that character that is going to make the person at home care about them. That's why Austin was so huge. He was the blue-collar worker sticking it up his boss's backside. Everybody wanted to be Austin. Okay. So the character has to be able to relate to the television audience. Now, if we're in Mexico,
Yeah.
the Mexican wrestlers, okay, are relating to the Mexican audience because they're speaking their language. When an American goes on a Mexican show and he's speaking American, or an American goes to a Japanese show and he's speaking American, right there, there is a communication barrier because we don't understand your language. We don't know what you're saying. So if I don't know what you're saying, how am I supposed to relate to you?
If they're speaking a different language.
If they're speaking, well, yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Oh,
On top of that, what's the second most? Say I'm a mute. Say I'm a mute and I can't talk. What's the second most important thing? My facial expressions. Well, how many Mexican wrestlers and Japanese wear masks?
That's a good point.
So my point is, if I'm an American wrestling fan and I'm watching Japanese wrestlers and Mexican wrestlers here in the United States that don't speak English, and they wear a mask. I can't even see their emotions. How am I supposed? You know what it would be like? Let's take the television show Friends. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Say we have the 6 friends. Take Rachel out of the equation.
All right.
Let's keep her in. She's the hottest one.
Take Monica out.
No,
Oh,
keep
Phoebe.
Monica.
You want Phoebe? She
Get
was the
Phoebe.
funniest.
Please,
stuff.
get her out of there.
All right.
We take Phoebe out. Okay? Again, let's just be honest here. We take Phoebe out. We put a Japanese woman as the 6th friend, and all she does is speak Japanese. Who's going to be the least relatable character on that show?
Ross. Listen, I get that.
You see?
Anyone would agree with that.
Right, of course.
But you didn't say.
But I did say it. They took a portion of what I said.
So to be clear,
Right.
it's when they are speaking the native tongue on television
Right.
that you don't give a shit about the Mexican
Right.
guy.
It's hard for me to
because that would
relate
almost be
to
like saying that
somebody-
we can't go to a Jackie Chan movie and enjoy a Jackie Chan
Yeah,
movie
no,
because
it's the communication barrier when they're not
that's
speaking
fine
the
then.
language.
Very good. All right, well, it's
But again,
it was
you-
just
you-
the quote.
right.
So, all right, why the hate from the Young Bucks?
Talking about
I
wrestling.
know. I wanted to get so quickly onto
I
you.
thought you said this ain't going to be about.
Well, because I have to
we're
find
gonna
out if you're a
talk about the
racist first.
honeymooners and
We're
this
going to
and-
get to all that fun stuff too. Why the hate from the Young Bucks?
You know, a lot of that is on me. But I'll also tell you, too, the Young Bucks have my respect, and I'll tell you why. I felt, this isn't a fact, this was my opinion. First of all, here's what people don't understand. Let me tell you number one. Bob Ryder brought the Young Bucks into TNA for a tryout.
The Young what?
The Young Bucks.
Buck. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bob Ryder brought in the Young Bucks.
For a tryout.
Okay.
Vince, you got to watch these guys. Okay? I watched the Young Bucks. As soon as the match was over, I went to Bob Ryder and I said, sign these guys up. Immediately after the match. Okay, so I was fans of theirs. I liked them. They had a style that was different.
Mm-hmm.
Once they came, and they weren't the only two. There was a whole wave of these younger guys coming in. Bro, there was a X division long before there was 205. Okay, that's when the movement started. I felt that when I would try to have the conversation with Young Bucks about character, same thing I said here,
Yeah.
guys, prolong the career.
Right.
Don't freaking kill yourself. I felt it would go in one ear and out the other.
Okay.
I felt they made me feel like they knew more than Vince Russo would ever know. That's how they made me feel, okay? I said that in an interview. And I said exactly what I just said to you, I said on an interview. And here's the difference, bro. One of them called me out on it. And I don't remember which one. I got an email from one of them. Vince, we read that you said this, blah, 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 blah. We really don't appreciate that you said that. And you know what? I wrote it back. I said, you know what? You're right, bro. You're right. I shouldn't have said that. I apologize for saying that. That's the way I felt. I was wrong about saying that. But I tell you what, they earned all the respect in the world by calling me out.
Right.
That's why, again, getting back to the dirt sheet writers, that's why I have no respect for any of these guys, because all they do is talk trash about me, and I say to them, come on my show, bro, or I'll go on your show. It's not about ratings and numbers.
Have you contacted Meltzer and said, let's...
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I know people were reached out to for You Shoot Live with
Yeah.
Vince Russo, and
Yeah,
I think Pro Wrestling
absolutely.
Illustrated
Can I
came.
tell you something? Listen to this.
Yeah.
Podcast One. I was on Podcast One. I get a call from Podcast One, and it was from the PR woman that had no idea. Vince, Wade Keller is starting a show on Podcast One. Would you come on his show, kind of help promote it, this and the other thing? I said, I have no problem whatsoever going on Wade's show. I will be a gentleman. I will be respectful. And I promise you at the end of the day, I will get Wade Keller and his show over. I said, but you got to understand, these guys don't like me. But business is business, and I will be more than happy to go on Wade's show. And I will, you didn't have me on the show. Why wouldn't he have? Tell me. I'm asking you.
don't know.
Why would he not have me on
know.
the show? What is everybody so afraid of? I just started a new show called On the Air with Vince Russo, where anybody can come in the room on Google Hangout and file grievances. And I'm there every week, and all these people coming in the room are kissing my ass. Where are all these people talking behind my back? Those are the people I want to come in the room. That's what I don't understand. You got stuff to say about me, freaking say it to me.
Kevin Owens.
Right.
What's his beef with you?
Well, I think his beef with me. It started with me. I initiated that whole thing. Listen, I think a wrestler should look like a wrestler. It's that simple.
What about Kamal?
Wait, come on.
No.
Good point, Sean. Because you know what I say all the time? If Kevin Owens' appearance was part of the gimmick and part of his character, great. I get it. The guy is an out of shape guy that likes drinking his beer and eating his hoagies, but he could still kick your ass. I get it. But when a guy looks like this and they're telling me he's a prize fighter, what prize fighter looks like this? I never saw a prize fighter look like this. So that was my whole thing, bro. If you're going to be a professional wrestler, look like a professional wrestler. But if they made that as part of his gimmick, it would be tremendous. So that was the beef I had, but it was more with it was really more with WWE creative than Kevin Owens.
Gotcha. Sami Zayn.
Let me take my glasses off and rub my head. There's a reason the WWE, I'm not even going to say wrestling business, there's a reason the WWE has gone from 8 million viewers to under 3. Because when you had the world watching wrestling, the Attitude Era, before the Attitude Era, WrestleMania 1, 2, and 3, way before, Bruno, when you had the world watching wrestling, the casual fan, when you said professional wrestling, right away in their mind, there was a picture in their mind of what a professional wrestler looks like. A professional wrestler is larger than life. A professional wrestler looks like somebody I've never seen before. When a professional wrestler walks through the airport, I'm going to know that's somebody. And I'm talking about Roddy Piper. If Roddy Piper walked through an airport, you would look at Piper and know that's somebody. Kurt Hennig walked through an airport, you know. If Bret Hart walked through an airport, that's freaking somebody. You just knew a professional wrestler in our mind. Sami Zayn looks like my next door neighbor. I'm sorry, and that's not an insult.
I know what you're saying.
That's not an insult. I can't watch I'm 56. I can't watch a wrestling show with any kind of belief when I honestly think I could give half of the roster a good fight. Sami Zayn would probably kick my ass, but he wouldn't do it in a minute. Those freaking 205 guys, yeah, they'd all kick my ass because I'm 56, but they wouldn't do it in a minute. When I go back to looking at those guys, freaking Ken Shamrock, who's coming into my life, are you freaking kidding me? I remember once, I got so hot once at Billy Gunn. The one and only time in my life I disrespected a wrestler and told Billy Gunn to go F himself. Okay? Way out of line. And the minute it came out of my mouth, I freaking regretted it. Brian James came over, and I thought this guy was going to kill me. Brian James, Road Dogg. What the freaking Sami Zayn? Who's Sami Zayn going to beat in real life? I'm just being honest. That's why they've lost the casual fan base. It's not believable. It's nothing against him. Look at me. Okay, what? I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm going to be a Chippendales dancer.
What about when you had to write for?
What happened to not talking about wrestling?
What happened? I know. How do we get? Well, because you know why? Because it's why people hate you. We could have been talking about your baker if your baker hated you. Anyone in your family hate you? We could talk about them. You have a cousin. Every Italian has this. Hold on. There's someone in the family that nobody talks to anymore.
Wow.
There's an uncle, a cousin that everybody cut off.
My mother, who passed away recently, had cut everybody off. She was one of those Italians. You looked at her. No,
but there was a person who did something. No. And the other thing is, somewhere in the lineage, it's usually now a couple of generations back, someone put a curse on somebody.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely,
yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah. The horns.
I don't want to go too far into the supernatural because this will become the Vampiro.
The
Italian horn or the Malioc you're talking about?
The Malioc. Yeah. The red pepper gimmick.
Right.
Yeah.
we used to have to write for, and then we'll get off wrestling, I
Bro,
promise.
you're stirring up all kinds of shit here, bro.
Everywhere you go, you stir up shit.
it.
You know
Put it
why?
out,
I'll
yeah.
tell you why.
Because I'm the only one who speaks the truth.
Let's leave truth or untruth.
Why is Sami?
You are vocal.
If Sami Zayn, let me put it to you: if Sami Zayn is a professional, bro, you gotta understand. The WWE is the premier wrestling organization in the world.
Yes.
Sami Zayn made that roster. You know what statement that is? They're basically saying anybody can be a wrestler. And I don't agree with that. I think you should have to look like a freaking wrestler to be a freaking wrestler.
That's fine. I always say if
everybody, Sami Zayn fan,
if everyone likes you,
a taxi cab shirt under there,
if
bro?
everyone likes you, you haven't done anything important. I say.
Yeah.
All right, let's get off wrestling. I was going to ask an insignificant question about the size of the luchadors that you wrote for, but we could just leave that aside.
Okay, what's the question?
Well, we'll talk about writing for luchadors. They're smaller.
Right.
Who
did I really write for? What luchadors, though?
WCW.
Bro, look at the guys that I wrote for. See, here's where people call me a racist, okay, bro? First of all, bro, I made Juventud Guerrera a color commentator. Who does that? I'm a racist? I made the guy a color commentator. See? I gave him a personality, bro. He was entertaining. He was trying. Remember what we did with La Parka, bro? Mm-hmm. We had the subtitles under. That's entertaining.
It is.
Right.
It is.
Like, you got to create characters.
What does your faith do for you? Other than keep women out of the White House, what does your faith do for you personally?
It keeps me in line. Bro, I know it. Listen.
This is you in line.
That's a good point. I love professing my Christianity because, bro, I am a total screw-up. But here's the difference. When I screw up and I say something I shouldn't have said, or I treat somebody badly the way I should have treated them, I know it. And I catch myself right away. And I get right back on the horse and try to do it the right way the next time. At the end of the day, we're all flawed. We are all sinners, bro, every single one of us. And I am the biggest one. The difference is I am aware of it, and I am consciously on a daily basis trying to correct that.
I hear a lot of Christians say, I am the biggest sinner. Mm-hmm. You're not the biggest sinner, and you know that. There will be a lot of people who do it far worse with far less remorse to the general public. What are the things about you, then, if it keeps you in line, that it has corrected? Being specific, is it temper? Is it your, you weren't an alcoholic? What does it do for you? What does it correct about you that keeps you in line?
I think it's the way I treat people, and the thing. Like, listen, you can listen to 100 podcasts out there, and I don't want to bring up Jim Cornette, but you can listen to Jim Cornette's podcast. And, bro, either he's burying me, either he's burying Santino, or there's the Gargano, I think. He's always just killing somebody, okay? That's not my shtick, okay? My thing with Kevin Owens, I don't know Kevin Owens. That's where I think people get confused. How could I possibly hate somebody like that? I never met Kevin Owens. When I talk, I'm watching this television show. This is how I'm seeing this guy.
You're talking about a product and a business, not a person.
Exactly. So you can listen to all my podcasts. I don't sit there. I don't rip people. I don't bury people. And I swear to you. And then people say to me, well, what about castrating the marks? I really think I'm doing these people a public service. I really do, because I'm telling you, a-hole. There are way more important things in life than wrestling. And if you're putting all your focus on this, you're missing something in your life that's extremely important. And I do that because I really feel that I'm trying to help them. But to just sit there and bury people, I hate this one, blah, 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 I don't do that.
But so what you were answering what your faith does. Well, by the end of the day, you might leave. What does your faith specifically do for you then? You're saying it makes you more tolerant of other people?
It keeps me in line.
What would you be doing right now if you weren't a Christian?
I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I know what my role is. I know what I'm not supposed to be doing, and it keeps me on the straight and narrow.
You never drank, really, right?
No, never.
You never smoked cigarettes?
No.
Never used drugs?
No.
You never cheated on your wife?
Nope, 34 years.
So I mean, you were pretty. You were headed for sainthood already before any revelation in 2003.
No, that's
really?
no, because the way you treat other people plays a big part of that.
And you would tell me then that in 1997 you wouldn't be treating people nicely.
Oh my God! I can remember, Sean. This is a true story. Hand to God. I can remember 1997. Okay, my daughter is 22 now. She was like 2 or 3 years old in 1997. Okay, my typical wrestling phone call with one of the wrestlers. They call me in my house all the time. We talk what they're doing on TV. My daughter could be sitting right there in her high chair, and wrestlers talk. You know, bro. Every other word is the F word. That's just the jargon. So I would sit there and rattle off F word after F word after F word after F word with my daughter sitting right there. Was unfazed. The day I became a Christian, my language stopped completely. Bro, I can't tell you. I can tell you the last time I dropped an F-bomb. I got hot at AJ probably about 10 years ago, and that was probably the last F-bomb that I ever dropped. And I beat myself up for it for weeks. AJ Styles of all people. But my language completely changed off the bat. And here's the thing you start thinking about. My life completely changed when I started putting other people before myself. When it was no longer all about me, and whether I agree with you, liked you, or disagreed with you, I'd at least attempt to put you and your feelings before me. And I try to practice that.
And that came out of your faith.
Yes.
How religious were you before? I assume you were Roman Catholic if you're Italian from Long Island.
I received communion. I received confirmation. I went to the Catholic Church till I was about 18. And I think what was a real wake-up call for me was I went to Indiana to go to school, okay? And I met my wife, and we wanted to get married, okay? I was a Catholic, and my wife was a Baptist. And she had been going to the same church, the same I don't know what you would call them in Baptist. Minister?
Maybe.
Minister. She'd been going to the same minister for 20 years since she was a kid. The minister refused to marry us because he said it was a mixed marriage.
Right.
That right there really opened up my eyes to religion. Whereas I never stopped believing in God, but I never listened to him. The best way I could put this is he was always there. I always believed in him. I always heard him, but I had to be the one driving the car. He was not going to tell me what to do. I was going to drive the car, and I did that until at around the age of 40, 42. I drove right into the brick wall, and I said, you know what, bro, you want the keys? Here they are, and it's been different from that.
Well, what was the last straw? Was there a last straw?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the thing. You know, I don't care what people think or what they say. I'll never forget it. I had my video store, not my video store, I had a CD warehouse in Atlanta, Georgia at the time. Okay, WCW was over. I just started working for, not just started, I was working for TNA. Okay? I was in my store all by myself. It was about 9 o'clock at night, silent, nobody there. Okay? Either I called Dixie or Dixie called me or whatever, but I was on the phone with Dixie Carter, okay? Dixie probably ruined the relationship of Jeff Jarrett and myself because Dixie had a way of playing one person against the other and just stirring it up, okay? So it was one of those nights where she was telling me crap about Jeff. She was getting me all riled up, and I cut a hellacious promo on Jeff Jarrett to Dixie Carter on the phone. Probably the promo, a Jim Cornette promo. I just let it loose. And I swear to God, when I hung up the phone, nobody was in the store. I was in the store by myself, and I audibly heard, look at you. You know, you used to be a person that had so much love for this man who I love Jeff like a brother. You used to have so much love for this man, and now look how black your heart has turned. I heard it. I mean, I literally heard it where like I was like frozen. Like you got, Sean, I was not looking for God. Like that was the last thing on my freaking radar. I wasn't looking for God. I wasn't looking to be saved. I didn't hit rock bottom, and I was a drug addict. None of that. And it just came out of nowhere. You know, look at yourself. You know, your heart is black. You know, what have you become? And that was during the week. I was driven to go to church that weekend. I went to church that weekend. I literally felt like the sermon was directed straight at me.
What church? Just a church in your area,
Just a church in my area. Just a church. Went to church, and
what do you say to your wife? Like, this is a big change. What do you say to your wife?
Well, you got to understand, my wife was a strict Baptist. That never changed. My wife, when we were first married and living in Connecticut, the WWE, this is a true story. She prayed every day, that Vince would see God or whatever it was that she was praying, but that I would have a relationship with God every single day. This is a true story. She was going to church in Connecticut. I wasn't going to church at all. I wanted nothing to do with church. I believed in God, but I'm not, don't bother me. She brought the minister of her church to my house. This guy was going to try to talk to
you
and convert. Bro, I threw him out of my house. I literally threw him out of my house. So you got to understand, my wife was trying. I was 22 when I got married. Up until 42, 20 freaking years, she never gave up. And then when this incident happened, I wasn't trying to change. Like, I didn't want to change. I had no reason to change. The change just came. I mean, the change just happened. And she saw immediately that there was some kind of change in me.
So what's step 2? So you go to church, and now how does one decide to become born again? Is there a process? Is there a baptism?
I did all that. I did all that. Really started studying the Bible. Really started going into church. I was literally baptized in a lake. I mean, I did all of that. But what it became at that point was, like I said, okay, here's how I look at it. I believe in God. I believe I was created by God. Think about this. There's a lot of logic in Christianity. If I believe I was created in God, if I believe I was created by God, okay, that means there's only one person that holds my blueprints, and that's God. Okay, he's the only, he created me. He knows what he created me for. I don't know what he created me for. And that's what I think the meaning of life is. I think the meaning of life is we are forever in search of what our role is supposed to be on this earth and what God's will is for us. We're a piece of the puzzle. Where do we fit in as that puzzle piece? I believe that's the meaning of life. I am constantly on an everyday basis in search of that every single day. Every single day I say, God, whatever is your will is my way. You want me to be a garbage man? You want me to go work at a bank? When I fly, every time, I hate flying, Sean. Every time I get on a plane, you know what I say? I don't say, God, please, I pray that you get me there safely. I pray, God, if it's your will to get me there safely, get me there safely. In other words, if God wants the plane to go down because he's got another plan for me in heaven, then let the plane go down. It's whatever your will is for me. Show me what that is, and I'll do whatever it is.
So you're able to turn and look at, well, let's say a television about a plane crash, a report, or children being murdered or something, and say, well, that's God's will. There must be a greather plan. Mm-hmm. I think that's the big piece for me and a lot of other people that are maybe too rooted in an earthly logic. That how could there be a God if X happens and Y happens and who would wish this on this woman who lost the second child?
That's real easy to explain because you got to understand, Sean, I want you to know this. Through my podcast, through my Twitter, I would say to you, probably, it's all the wrestling stuff, but probably 25% of it is a much deeper level. People asking me that same exact, because how can you believe in God when he does it?
Right.
People writing to me about depression and my mother died and this and that. That's become 25% of what I do, and I answer all these people. God created a perfect world, okay? He created the Garden of Eden. He created Adam and Eve. It was the perfect world, okay? All of a sudden, Satan, the fallen angel, Eve eats the apple. When God says, the only thing I tell you to do, don't eat from the tree. We disobeyed him. Eve eats the apple, Adam eats the apple. We've now sinned. We've now brought sin into the world. We introduced sin into the world. This was supposed to be a perfect place. That's how it was designed. We effed it up. So now it has a presence in this world. No doubt about it. But you see an incident like Vegas, okay? Now, I look at that incident like Vegas, and of course, Vince, how could there be a God? You know, how could there be a God when all these innocent people, they just went to a concert and they killed this and that? Well, there is a God, okay? We allowed sin into this world. We made this an unperfect place. It was our doing. You want to see God? How many people did you hear being interviewed where they gave their lives up for somebody else? They covered somebody who was being shot. They took off their clothing and made tourniquet. That's where you're seeing God. But God can't keep the unperfectness out of this world. We brought it in. We brought it in. He gave his son to even out the score so we could have a relationship, but he can't eliminate it from what we introduced it. But you want to see him at work? That's where you see him at work. And every time there's a disaster or there's something like this in the world, you see people step up. And you see people do things and donate money. And I was in Colorado with the Aurora. Remember the movie theater incident? And you know, the boyfriends, you know, shielding that God is always at work. So it depends how you want to look at it. If you don't want to believe, we can build a case against God all day long. I'm a very logical guy. And I think there is a lot of logic to Christianity. I don't believe we're all here by chance. Well, like, what's the point of that? I don't believe that. I don't. You know, we reproduce. Well, that was all by chance. That, you know, a woman has a, you know, hey nanny nanny, and the guy's got the ween. Like, that was all.
These are all biblical words. You realize.
I mean, no, there was a plan.
Look, in the parables of any religion, there is certainly wisdom that is valuable for anybody to live by. And, you know, if for nothing else, then I think that it's valid. What did your parents say?
I think they thought I was crazy because, like, they never saw that side of me.
Well, they were Catholics and they were going to church?
My parents dragged me to church and I freaking hated it, Sean. I hated it. And you know why? Because you had a priest up there talking and everything was right. Oh, I had no idea what he's talking about. I wasn't hearing it because that was religion. That wasn't God. That wasn't Christianity. That was religion. And I got to tell you, man, I grew up a Catholic. And when I became a Christian and really started studying the Bible, and I could see the flaws and the holes in the Catholic religion, that's when I realized, man, religion is man-made. And that's why it wasn't reaching me. People get religion and Christianity confused. They're two completely different. I am not a religious guy.
Okay, interesting. What kind of home did your parents create for you? Was it one with strict discipline, hard and fast rules? Were there curfews when there was a young Vince Russo? What was home like?
Bro, can I tell you something? People can hate me. People can love me. Even when I look at a Jim Cornette, here's the first thing I understand. Okay, because, Sean, let's face it. I have every right in this world to hate this guy. Okay, this guy went on his podcast, talked about my dead mother, said nasty things about my wife. Okay, I have every reason to hate this guy. Okay, but here's the bottom line. We are all victims of our circumstances. So I did not know Jim Cornette when he was a kid. I did not know Jim Cornette's parents. I did not know Jim Cornette's upbringing, but here's what I do know. As he went through the stages in his life, okay, he was a victim of his environment. However he was raised, whatever principles were taught upon him, whatever morals were given to him, he became that guy. So I had a close relationship with Jeff Jarrett, okay? Me and Jeff used to do this a lot, okay? And every time we did this a lot, what's the first thing I would say? Jerry Jarrett was his dad. This is all Jeff knows. This is how Jeff was raised. Jeff doesn't know this. And I don't hate Jim Cornette. And that's why. I don't hate it. He can say whatever he wants about my mother. I don't hate him. I never will. But we are all a victim of our circumstances growing up. You know how, like we say about the, I don't think a woman should be a leader of the free world. Okay, I know my marriage of 34 years worked for me. I never cheated on my wife. Mm-hmm. We don't fight. We don't argue because I don't care what anybody says. We to this day, we have clear-cut roles. My wife is upset with me now because as the husband, I'm supposed to be there tomorrow when the movers come. That's not something she's supposed to handle. I agree with her, but we all have roles, okay? I grew up in a household where my mother was twice the size of my father. And I'm not saying fat. My father at his highest weight was 145 pounds. Weighs 145 pounds today, okay? My mother was a plus-size woman. My father was 145, 5'7", 140 pounds. She was from an Italian family. Her father was the strict Sicilian that we were scared to death of. Okay, so I grew up in a household where my mother dominated my father. Jim do this, Jim do that. My father, I used to get so upset as a kid where we would sit down as a family and have dinner, and as soon as dinner was over, my father would wash the dishes and my mother would go watch TV. And my mother would dominate my father, telling him what to do, So I grew up saying,
not going to be me.
That's not going to be me. That was driven in my mind. That is not going to, because that didn't work. My mother and father never got divorced, but I could tell you my father was not happy in that moment.
Well, I think gender is almost insignificant in this. I don't think one person should be dominant. Take two gay men that are married. Where do you stand on that, by the way? It's okay. So, I mean, one should not be dominating the other, right?
Right.
Any relationship
Right.
of dominance is.
Right.
So,
I felt bad for my father. I felt bad for him, and I was like, that's not good.
But for you as the kid, though, now, so that's their relationship together. What about you as the kid? Is it because your father was a softer touch, you would go to him first with stuff? No.
He knew nothing that was going on. You went to my mother. You wanted money for the movies. You went to my mother.
Wow.
Bro, my mother.
Teresa kicked ass, huh?
Bro, you want to know how crazy my mother was? You want to talk about a crazy Italian?
I do.
Okay? When she would get mad, first of all, I don't remember my father never hit me. I don't remember my father ever getting mad at me. It was all my mother, okay? Do you know what she used to do when she used to get mad at me, bro? She used to stand there. You want to talk Italian? Bite her own hand, leave teeth marks in her own freaking hand. And I used to say, like, what is, like, you're mad at me, but you're going to take a bite out of your hand? I remember once, man, I swear to God.
Sonny in The Godfather.
Yeah.
When he sees that she got hit.
Yeah.
Connie.
Bro, I'll never forget one day I was in my so many things. One day I was in my room and me and my friend were just messing around or whatever. And here comes my mother up the stairs, and like I had two twin beds in my room. And bro, I swear to God, me and my friend were like 13. We weren't 10-year-old kids, right? She comes upstairs with the freaking belt and manages to trap the both of us between the bed and the wall and is just flailing away with this freaking belt. My father never, ever laid a hand on me.
You've siblings?
a sister.
Okay. Would her retelling of the home experience be similar to yours? Or was she have a different perspective about her childhood, your childhood together?
I don't have a good relationship with my sister. She's very aloof, and she likes to play the victim, and she doesn't like to take responsibility for things in her whole life, and I think that kind of caused a rift.
Older, younger? Where's
She's older than me.
Okay.
She's about 4 years older.
And no attempts at reconciliation over the years?
No, we talk.
Oh.
She was just over my house with my father. I mean,
right.
but it's not a brother-sister close relationship.
She's still on the East Coast?
No, she's in Florida where my dad is.
Okay. The passing of your mother, which we were talking before about this. You had, in the midst of all the craziness on the podcast, you have some honest moments where you talk. And there was a whole stretch last year where, from a pet to your mom, and then the prediction by you, if I remember this correctly, the prediction by you, and then the actual playing out of the fact that your father began to fall apart when your mother was lost. Yes?
No. My mother, it's the last 5 years of her life, she had Alzheimer's. So, I lost my mother 5 years before I lost my mother.
Okay.
She was a total, and let me tell you what happened. To make a long story short, man, and I hate, my parents live in Florida, and bro, it is such a ruse with doctors and hospitals with the senior citizens, and them pilling them up with 10, 15 pills. It's a horrible situation. My mother was on the just showing signs of Alzheimer's, showing signs, and her knee was bothering her, right? So of course, anytime a senior citizen goes into Florida, oh yeah, you need this operation, you need this pill, you need this. It's such a freaking work. It makes me sick. So my mother's 70 something at the time. The doctor tells her, oh, you need a knee replacement. Okay, so.
Yeah.
She goes in the hospital to get a knee replacement. They put her under anesthesia, okay? She came out of that operation, her Alzheimer's was times 10. Then I went back and I read, and it said when somebody has Alzheimer's or they're on the verge of Alzheimer's or you see symptoms of it, you never, ever put those people under because you don't know how they're going to react to it.
Right.
So when she came out of that, she was times 10. So the last 5 years of her life, my father waited on her hand and foot. I mean, she did nothing. She did nothing. So what happened was my son was getting married last October. And at that point, my father could not she was falling, and she was a lot bigger than him. He couldn't pick her up, the whole 9 yards. And he wound up, putting her in, she wound up in hospice. Mm-hmm. But he came to the wedding by himself, and she hadn't passed yet. And I mean, he was a shell of himself. I felt,
right.
I thought I was going to lose my dad. I mean, when I physically saw him and how frail he was, and he was a shell of himself. But I do have to say this: since she's passed, think about the burden of taking 5 years.
Yeah.
He couldn't go anywhere. He couldn't he had a feeder. He had 5 years. When that was lifted off his back, I mean, my dad's 86, bro. He plays softball twice a week. He's in a bowling league. He goes to the dances at the senior center.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what I remembered was you must have done a podcast when you came back from Will's wedding, and you said, "I'm going to lose my father now. I can't." Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it was bad.
But you had a rough year. I mentioned the dog, and then mom, and even your son getting. I remember you being depressed about your son moving away. But things better now, emotionally.
People have to understand. I'm a victim of my environment. I do the things I do, and I say the things I say because it is stuff that I lived through. And I say this to every single person on that WWE roster right now, okay? To this day, Sean, I kick myself in the ass because my son is 30, my second son is 27, my daughter is 22. I cannot remember in my mind moments from their childhood. It's like
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember it. And now when I understand I was Vince McMahon's cash cow, somebody sent me some numbers the other day of profit of the WWE. Bro, when you look where they went from 97 to 98 to 99, bro, 97 was like $3 million profit. 99 was like $82 million profit. When I understood clearly that I was Vince McMahon's cash cow, and he did not give a shit about me whatsoever, and as soon as I was done, I was going to be kicked to the curb, and I realized I put my family on the back burner. For what? For television ratings? For what?
Well, you were earning a living to take care of your family.
Yeah, but
They wouldn't have had what they had if you worked at the post office. There's nothing wrong with working at the post office, but I think it's a different pay grade than being the head television writer of a product.
bro, I would have happily worked at a post office and made that money than sacrificed the time that I spent with my family.
With the gift of being able to look back and have the gift of hindsight
right,
now.
right.
But then you probably were saying to yourself, "This sucks, but take care of my family." I mean, how many people do that? I'm sure there's people working in investment banks that put in too many hours that feel that way. The childhood importance of the following things, and this is the first time that these items have ever been on a list together. I'm fairly certain of that. I'm going to go through. You tell me the childhood importance in your life of Tom Jones.
Oh, my first idol, no doubt, my first idol, man. I can remember like it was just saying, you're a little younger than me, but I swear to God, bro, the television show used to open up with the microphone in a stand, and you just heard the voice, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Jones, and all of a sudden you see a hand grab the mic, and here's freaking Tom, bro. He was the coolest guy. I say that now, it almost sounds a little gay, you know. I mean,
Well, just because of the hose that he's gotten,
Well,
but he was a sex symbol for women, but a great performer. You, because of the wrestling I know you grew up on and the product I know you wrote, you loved the pageantry and the performance. You loved the coolness.
And you know what my mother used to do to punish me? Not let me watch the show. If I did something bad, I wasn't allowed to watch Tom Jones that week. Oh, bro, it used to kill me.
Was she a fan too?
No.
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 Julius LaRosa, I bet, belt out a few. Kiss.
Oh, bro. You know what my mother used to do? Bro, picture this. First of all, I bought my first Kiss album on my 16th birthday.
Which one? Rock and Roll Over.
Rock and Roll Over.
Knew it.
16th birthday. Went home, played Rock and Roll Over, and
That was it.
that was it. Bro, I'll never forget. I say this all the time. At that time, there were a series of 4 Kiss posters. It was all of them individually, and I had every one. But the one I had over my bed, there was a shot, bro. It was Gene, but it was taken from the floor up. And I had that over my bed because there was such power evoked in that image that it made me feel like I could do anything. I would look at Gene, and he looked like he was 20 feet tall, and like, you know, bro, my room, okay, all the walls, it was 2 layers, all the walls and the ceiling, aluminum foil. Okay, so everything had aluminum foil first. Then on
Why?
top, just for the look.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Listen to this, every square inch, you'd see this much aluminum foil, a Kiss picture.
Right.
The ceiling and everything, every square inch. Bro, my mother would get mad at me. You know what she would do? She'd freaking go in my room and one by one start ripping the pictures
Because she was mad at you for something you did, or because it was the devil's music?
Because she was, no. She was mad at something I did.
Oh.
Start ripping the pictures off the wall. Everyone was like a gunshot because she ripped it. It was done. It was finished. That's, bro, I'll never forget that. Very traumatized.
My wall's cellophane. I thought it reflected the light a lot better than the aluminum foil. It's funny you mentioned that, though. I read in, I think it was Paul Stanley's book, which was very good, actually, the best of the Kiss books that were
You're
in.
wrong about that, I'll tell you why.
Why, you thought Peter Chris's was bad?
Absolutely. He was the only one that put any heat on himself. He was the
I
only one
understand
that took any responsibility for anything.
But I thought Paul's was a much more intimate journey because he really talked about the flaws of himself as a person and as a damaged soul. Anyway, Ace used to put aluminum foil on the windows in the hotels so that not just that light wouldn't come in, but it completely reflected light out of the rooms.
Do you know when we were working WWE in Connecticut, Cornette lived in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Do you know he used to put black construction paper over all the windows? Black construction.
Because you guys were sleeping in odd times?
No, he just did not want any light in his house. Every window had black construction. Ask Pritchard, because the two of us went over there, which I thought was bizarre.
So all right. So now, so this begs the question: are you accepting of the current Kiss lineup with Tommy Thaden? No, you're a hardcore like that. Okay.
They lost me. They started losing me when they put the Peter Chris's makeup and Ace Frehley's makeup on Eric Singer and Tommy Thaden.
That's what I'm saying.
They started losing me. It was still Gene and Paul.
Right.
Okay. So, but they were starting to lose me at that point. I would no longer pay money to see them. Okay, you know Dale Torborg? No. Dale Torborg was the demon at the WCW. Yeah. He's now he was the demon. He's a trainer for the Chicago White Sox, but he got pretty tight with Kiss doing the gimmick. So I'll go see them now because Dale will always get me free tickets. So I will never pay for a Kiss ticket again since the makeup. But the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing, bro, I'm sorry. That was not playing, making the Paul and Gene decided they would not play with Peter.
Yeah.
To me, that was like, bro, that's all the fans want. That's all the fans care about. It's always been the original line to put your freaking differences aside and do this. That was a.
Well, I think that it's because Paul felt that Peter's playing was not to snuff and it wouldn't sound right. For the fans.
Sucked into this whole Paul book, to be honest with you.
Listen, I'm trying to. If I agreed with you, what kind of interview would this be? If I agreed with you with everything,
bro, we're gonna play 2 songs, and what? Peter Criss has to be a world-class drummer to play 2 freaking songs at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Why can someone else play James Bond, but someone else can't put on Ace Frehley's makeup and play the songs as well as he did?
Sacrilege.
But why would you go see,
I don't go see fake bands, bro.
Pierce Brosnan
I don't go see, I hate freaking fake bands, bro. What Journey did to freaking Steve Perry, they should all be executed, okay? I don't go see Styx without Dennis. I hate fake bands, bro. I hate them.
Yeah, I understand that. Ralph Cramden, the importance of Ralph Cramden.
Oh, my God, bro.
Well, the whole show. Was he your favorite? Clearly he was your favorite on the show. I mean, that's hardcore
zoom
right there.
Zoom in on that part right there. Yeah.
Cameraman zoom. So he was clearly your favorite, Ralph. Yeah. I mean, would be a Ralph without a Norton? Oh, that's right. The roles were very clear in that show. Yeah. But actually, you could make a case that Alice was like the first televised feminist who would fight back and usually win. Yeah. And get him to kowtow to her desires. Lou Albano, who could have played probably Ralph Cramden in a staged version in a black box in the West Village. Lou Albano, your favorite manager, obviously, of all time.
You say Lou Albano, I don't even know what to say because you say Lou Albano. Bro, the very first time I ever came across wrestling, and we talked about this, I'm flipping through the channels on UHF. Mm-hmm. And there's freaking Lou Albano and the Valiant Brothers. And then you asked me about Sami Zayn. Come on, bro, stop. Lou Albano, Handsome Jimmy, Luscious Johnny. Okay, cutting a freaking promo. And my mouth fell to the freaking floor. Bobby Heenan just passed away.
Yeah.
and it was the accolades he got were great. It was great to see the highlights on Raw and everybody. Where are the Bobby Heenans today? Where are the Lou Albano? Like, what happened to this? That we no longer have people like this in the wrestling business to entertain us. What happened to this?
Are you asking me, or is
I'm
it
asking you.
hypothetical? Rhetorical, I mean. Well, I think that wrestlers at that time, it was a time when these guys were really on the fringes of society. It was either this, the circus, or maybe selling liquor with Chuck Wepner to bars. They weren't, well-presented, gentlemen, and expected to make company appearances for the shareholders. And they look for something very different in the people that are allowed into that company now. So back then, you could have done a couple of stints in prison and then been on WWF-TV.
And some were.
So could you have written for a Lou Albano, or would he have driven you
no
nuts?
Way.
Being
I wouldn't have tried.
Bombed.
I wouldn't have tried.
No, I'm
bro.
saying but just impossible to control. He's bombed.
I wouldn't have. Nah, bro. There are some people like that. They're like, I wouldn't have. Like, just go do your thing, man. Like, I would have. Nah, you would never root for Lou Albano.
All right, the importance of Chief Jay Strongbow.
Bro, can I tell you something? People like rip me and this and the pole matches and the this and that. Bro, one of the greatest matches I saw, and I remember it to this day, it had to be 72 or 73. Chief Jay Strongbow, and I think you might know, I know I'm a little older than you, it might have been Greg the Hammer Valentine. They had a match in a shark cage. They wrestled, the one that Enzo was in, they wrestled in the shark cage. So I was seeing stuff like that in 1973. And then people wonder, where'd you get a pole match and this and that? Well, yeah, bro, because they were doing that long before Vince Russo was around. But yeah, Chief, man, And the great thing was I got to work with him, man. I mean, that was so. At the very tail end, when I came into the WWE, it was like his last couple of years. But I mean, just loving him as a kid, and then getting to work with him was just great.
Cher.
That's weird, Cher, huh?
Am I wrong?
No, I've seen Cher in concert too many times.
These are all people that were larger than life, performers. Kiss, Tom Jones, Lou Albano, Cher. Again, the first time Cher and Lou Albano have ever been mentioned together.
Can I tell you something about Cher? Here's the thing that pisses me off today with these freaking snowflakes. Like, you can't say a girl is good looking. You can't say a girl is sexy. Girl wrestlers can't dress sexy. Can I tell you something about Cher? Arguably one of the top 5 recognizable voices of all time. Right?
Sure.
Who sings like Cher? A Cher song comes on the radio, you know it's freaking Cher.
Absolutely.
Nobody sings like Cher.
Right.
Beautiful woman.
Right.
Okay? Bro, I swear to God, this is the thing they don't understand. Okay? I had to be a 12-year-old kid. Okay? And I was watching the Sonny and Cher comedy hour. Okay, bro? She had just released Half Breed. All right? And you can go back and look this up. Cher is sitting on her horse, bro, singing Half Breed in a long headdress, midriff, these long legs that went on forever and ever and ever. And I remember that as a 12-year-old kid. But yet, girls can't be sexy in wrestling anymore. They got to be like the guy. I don't understand that. I don't know how that started. Where all of a sudden, and I think that's only wrestling, because I'm into music a lot. Female performers, I love Rihanna, but I mean not just Rihanna. I mean female performers dress very provocatively, very sexy. I don't know.
Well, I think that they want them to be both. I think they want them to be performing on par with the men, but also be sexy. I think some of the girls in WWE, it's fair to say, are sexy. No. Maybe they're not. We should go back to Judy Martin and Velvet McIntyre and all those girls. All right. Childhood importance. I see it on your wrist. Adam West.
Oh, man, bro.
The Batman watch.
Did I ever tell my Adam West story?
No.
Chiller Theater, right here in New Jersey. Okay, bro. It was probably, God, it had, it had maybe 10 or 12 years ago, whatever. Adam West was appearing with Burt Ward, right? So I don't even remember who it was, bro. Somebody else always used to bring me down here in Jersey before I met you. But I called up the promoter. I said, bro, I will come. I will do Chiller Theater for free. I don't want any money. Fly me down there. I'll sign autographs all day and everything. I have to meet Adam West. That was like on my number one on my bucket list. So the guy brought me in the whole 9 yards. Adam West is there and Burt Ward is there. And the promoter of the thing brings me up to meet Adam West and says, this is Vince Russo. I was done with the WWE at the time. Used to be the head writer of the WWE, this, that, and the other thing. And he said, oh, very nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And he signed a picture I brought to him, to Vincent, Adam West, and I took a knee next to him. Okay? Keep in mind, I was a writer at this point and everything. And I called him Mr. West. I said, Mr. West, I said, I have to ask you one question and one question only. I wanted to ask you this my whole life. I said, how did you do it? And he goes, what do you mean? I said, you were the only one that could have portrayed that character in that manner. I said, how did you do it? And he said to me, he goes, Vince, he goes, when they gave me the first script, he goes, the first time I read the script, I got it. And I think of wrestling today, and they don't get it. They don't understand. They think it's real. But he said to me, I got it. I knew what they wanted from the character. I knew how I was supposed to play the character. I got it immediately. So the funny thing was, he signs to Vincent Adam West, right? Next night, so I go slide over to Burt Ward. Because I got to get both of them to sign this thing. What's one without the other? I mean, forget it, right? So Burt Ward signs the thing, blah, blah, blah. The same promoter goes, Burt, this is Vince Russo, used to be the head writer of WWE. Burt Ward freaking looks at the promoter. This was one of the greatest moments of my life. Looks at the promoter and says, I don't care who the hell he is. Where's my $50 for my autograph? Which I thought, I gladly gave him the 50. I almost tipped him another 10, bro. That was one of the greatest moments in the history.
I thought that was only wrestlers.
Oh, God, bro. I thought that was tremendous. I thought that was absolutely tremendous.
What was your first wrestling card you attended live?
Oh, man.
Were you a kid?
Oh, yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, you know, Vince, here's the thing about Vince that pisses me off so much. Vince McMahon was the one that taught me, Vince, the nuances mean everything. The little things mean everything. Now you watch a 3-hour Raw show and there's not one nuance. So I don't know. Is this? But remember the Paul McCartney hoax that he died in a car crash and he was replaced and they had all the Beatles songs.
Yeah, sure. He had his shoes off.
Maybe that happened. Maybe Vince is dead and he was replaced and we don't know. Because the guy who said nuances were everything, they're nothing now. But he used to tell me. What'd you ask me? I forgot what I was going to say now. It's very important. What'd you ask me?
What did I ask you? About your first wrestling card, right? Yeah.
You talk about nuances. Okay, bro? I remember this like it was yesterday. Do you remember Long Island, Comac Arena?
I've heard of it, but I never went.
Comac Arena, bro.
Okay.
Very, very, very small building. The Long Island Ducks used to play hockey there, right? Very small building. 6-man tag. Okay? Luscious Johnny, Handsome Jimmy, Lou Albano against Tony Greer, it was Dean Ho, the Happy Hawaiian.
Wow.
Dean Ho. Guess who their partner was? Haystacks Calhoun. Like it was freaking yesterday, bro. Lou Albano got Haystacks horseshoe chain from around his neck and managed to tie his leg up in the rope and then just walk laps around the ring, kicking him every time he passed him, bro. That little thing I can remember.
You're 56 and you still remember the one tiny little thing which didn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, wasn't on TV. Just a little something you did at a house show.
When people, I swear to God, to this day when they bring up David Arquette, I'm like, bro, do you not understand? You're bringing up something that happened 18 years ago. What happened on Raw last Monday? Tell me one thing and they can't tell you what happened 6 days ago. Right.
Point well taken. What kind of student were you?
I graduated after 11th grade because I wanted to get out of school. I wanted to get out of high school. I kept to myself in high school. I didn't have a lot of friends. I wasn't that guy. I didn't go to the prom. I didn't do any stuff like that.
What years would high school have been? Late 70s?
I think I graduated in 78.
Okay.
I graduated in 78 because I graduated from college in 83. It was easy to me. It was easy to me. Like I never studied. I mean, it was that type of thing, and I didn't get straight A's or nothing like that. I would always get by with B's and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to get through school. It was like I wanted to get on.
Was it an unpleasant experience, or you were just bored by it?
I think I was just bored by it. It wasn't unpleasant. I think I was just bored by it.
You do go to Indiana State, Larry Bird, right? Different campus we discussed, but you were a journalism major, right? What was your goal? What was that going to be a springboard to?
I wanted to write, but I didn't know in what forum. The only thing I didn't know was I knew I didn't want to write every day. So like writing for a newspaper,
right.
I knew that I didn't want to do. I definitely wanted to write. I just didn't know in what form I wanted to write.
You also, what about the transition going from Long Island to Indiana?
Bro, it was so weird because I told you, like when I went to high school, I was under the radar. I wasn't, I didn't hang around with the cool group. I didn't really play sports. I kind of stayed to myself, okay? When I went to college in Evansville, Indiana because I got a scholarship for journalism, and bro, I was the big man on campus because I was from New York. Oh my God! Like because
really?
They didn't know Long Island from Manhattan.
Right.
All they thought about New York was the Empire State Building and Times Square and this. I was from New York, so people very know. I never said this in an interview before, bro. My very first year at college, runner-up. Homecoming king, bro. And I lost to a senior that was there for 4 years, bro. My very homecoming king. I was on a homecoming court, bro.
Is that what led to you losing your virginity to a blonde bombshell?
Bro, can I tell you something? I swear to God, I have no problem saying this. I went to college a freaking virgin. Bro, can I be honest with you? My father, they never told me about the birds and the bees. They never had a conversation with me, bro, okay? So, see, this is how open and honest I am. But Bruce Pritchard may tell you I'm lying about this, but it'd be pretty hard to make this up. Bro.
So you got an open wound there?
Bro, I had my first girlfriend when I was 16 years old, okay? My parents told me nothing about sex, okay, bro? I swear to God, the whole time I dated this girl, bro, I dated her for about 2 years, maybe from 15 to 17. Okay, bro? Is this going out? Are you selling this DVD? This may be the money. You may want to use this for the clip, bro.
The trailer? Let's hear it.
15 to 17 years old. Okay, this girl I was dating was probably a Bhutan, but I didn't know she was a Bhutan. And I say she was a Bhutan.
Yeah, why?
Because this girl, 15 to 17 years old, would go down on me like it was nobody's business. The first time.
Well, then you didn't go to college at Virgin.
Bro, hold on. Let me back it up. Bro, the first time I ever felt a girl's bosom, the same girl, Reggie Jackson hit 3 homers against the Dodgers in the World Series.
You should have grabbed more.
1978. This girl, go down, go down, go down. First time a girl ever went down on me. But I'm talking about for 2 years.
It's phenomenal.
Bro, my father never told me about the birds and the bees.
Yeah.
So this girl's going down me
Correct.
from 15 to 17. I'm feeling like I'm going to pee in this girl's mouth. So it turned into a fight, bro, where I'm trying to rip this girl off me.
Right, because you didn't want to finish.
I didn't want to pee in the girl's mouth. She was clamping on me like some kind of a freaking muffler. She knew.
Right.
I didn't know. So it would turn into a fight, bro, where I'm trying to take, she's latching on, I'm trying to pull her, I didn't know.
The scene you must have made at the drive-in. But what, you didn't know, you were never with yourself? You never brought yourself to full?
Maybe not, bro. I don't think so, no.
Never.
No, so I go to college.
You were no experiences with priests? You were Catholic?
No. So I go to college, and bro, I got myself in this situation where, I mean, this girl was hotter than hell. She looked good. She looked hotter than hell, all dressed in satin and lace.
Ah, the poet,
Yeah.
Paul Stanley.
Practically, the only way I could have gotten out of losing my virginity is if I would have had to tell her I was gay. Because, I mean, she literally raped me. Like, I didn't even know what hit me. I didn't know what was doing. I remember I was very sick at the time. I had a fever, and she just freaking had her flip me up, down, upside down, had her way with me. I was 18 years old. I went to college. I might have been 19.
And then maybe just one more before you meet your wife.
Because now it was new.
Yeah.
Now it was new. So
Right.
like the next girl I went out with, because it was new, and then my wife.
Right.
No problem with that.
Was this a relationship with this blonde bombshell, or this
God,
was just the one?
God, no. Well, it was a couple of times, but it was, you know.
You marry your wife in '83, or you meet her in '83?
We got married in '83. I probably met her in like '81.
Okay. Oh, in college, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Circumstances of meeting your wife? You met in a class, in the...
I was a vice president of my fraternity because I was a big deal. I was in charge of all the pledges. I tortured the pledges, bro. I mean, it was...
That's mean.
Yeah, the stuff...
Had they know you only had 2 pieces of ass, they probably would have told you to go fuck yourself.
This stuff we did. Blindfolding them and then putting a banana in the freaking toilet and making them put their hand in it.
Squeeze it.
I was like 10, bro.
Sounds
But anyway.
stuff Vince McMahon would have enjoyed.
Yeah. Right. But I was vice president of the fraternity. She was in a sorority.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we got out.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we
You're married only 2 years after you meet. So and you're 20?
22. I got married at 22.
So clearly you felt right away that this...
And my wife didn't experience sex 3 times.
Okay.
My wife was a virgin.
Okay. But clearly
How about
you know...
that, bro?
I'm not touching that. It's your wife. I'm not touching. She's not in the business.
That's a soundbite, bro.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd
My
appreciate
wife was
that.
a virgin as a soundbite. Bro, that'll sell DVDs. Use that, bro.
Why don't you get clearance for me first after this?
Give it a sign.
Make sure she says okay. But this is the one. You're content to say, you know what? I don't have to sow my wild oats.
You know why, bro?
I'm the editor of the Shield, the Indiana Shield.
And I'm going to say this, and I'm sexist and everything else, and I don't give a rat's ass. It's the freaking truth. It's the freaking truth. So if you want to call me sexist, I don't care. Call me whatever the fuck
I asked you
want
if
to
you're
call me.
sexist. I didn't call you
Bro,
sexist. Though you
I
might
grew
be.
up on Long Island.
Yeah.
Okay, and I had my share of the girls with the freaking high hair and the accents and the... Oh, I had bro, I went out with a girl in high school that was your typical Long Island girl. Like she's in a freaking dictionary. Look on the Long Island girl. Okay, so I dealt with that. I went to college in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, this was a girl that was going to take care of me. This was a girl that I could have a family with.
But you know that at 22?
Yeah, but huge difference. Huge difference between Long Island girls and Midwest, and that's I knew I was gonna marry her.
She eventually moves to New York.
Yeah.
Was that a difficult choice for her? You had to do a little convincing.
Yeah, it was. Well, I didn't.
Was that before the kids or after, when you moved to New York?
What are you trying to say? You got my wife knocked up before I got married? What are you saying?
No, when she moved.
you
Oh, you
doing?
moved right when you got married?
Yeah.
I didn't know if you spent more time in Indiana.
No, bro. As a matter of fact, I graduated college in May. We would get married in September. I had to find a job from May to September, bro. I had nothing. I sent out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of letters and resumes. I got a job, and we got married in September.
So what did she say when you said, let's go? Because you could have settled in Indiana.
Who?
You could have settled in
Me?
Indiana.
No. That was, bro. I was not staying in Indiana, and I basically, I was. We were either getting married, or we were not going to have a long distance relationship.
Right.
And I basically said to her, I said, listen, there's nothing for me here. You know, I graduated college. I got to get a job now. There's nothing here. I'm going back to New York, and I'd love you to come with me, and we can get married and the whole night thing. And she did.
She did. Her family approved?
Oh no, bro! Her mother used to sit down with me with the Bible in her hand and read it to me, bro. You know, and it was. I did not have a good relationship with her mom.
Did that change?
Well, it changed once we got married because she didn't have a choice anymore.
You don't have to have a good relationship with
No,
your son.
well, I don't want to say we have a bad relationship. Let's just say after 34 years, we still really have nothing to say to each other.
How about her? Is her dad still alive?
Passed.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do they think of the whole wrestling thing?
Who?
Her parents at the time when you were working for WWE.
Bro, you gotta, bro. I kept my wife so isolated from the wrestling business. She doesn't know anything. She doesn't know anything.
So she wouldn't see the product on television.
Wouldn't see the my kids never watch wrestling. My wife doesn't know I was WCW World Champ.
You didn't even tell her that?
Didn't know. She didn't
Harley
know.
Race told his
my
wife.
Didn't know I put the belt on David Arquette. My wife was so isolated from the wrestling business, bro. She knew nothing.
6 or 7 years ago, when you left TNA, I called you and asked you if you'd be a part of that You Shoot Live, where people were talking about you all the time, and would you come and give them a forum to be heard, and you could answer them honestly, and I actually expected the press, the wrestling press and wrestling media, to totally outnumber any fans at something like this, but it didn't happen. What was your first impression of that? We had a couple of quick conversations, and you were okay with it. Did you just get a vibe that it was going to work, or I didn't have to do a very hard sell.
Was that the first thing we did?
That was the first thing we did. Now, you came out a little early, and we shot some promos for it at a hotel in Philadelphia, and
that's what it was. What do you think it was? You have to know
why
what it
you
was.
agreed.
You have to know what it was, and I'll give you a hint. It stemmed out of the thing in Philadelphia.
Well, you agreed before that because we wouldn't have been shooting promos for it, but maybe why you kept coming back? I guess because we didn't take it seriously. We had a sense of humor with the promos.
I think it was two things. I think, first of all,
I wore a suit.
Three things. The first thing was the way you, bro. Come on. To this day, I talk to a million promoters, and I'm like, they call, bro. I just hang up the phone, and I just like, will you just stop already? Like, just stop. You, the way you presented yourself, I knew you were a professional.
Mm-hmm.
There's no two ways about it. Number two, the Yoo-Hoo, bro. You brought Yoo-Hoo to Philly.
I did bring Yoo-Hoo to
Philadelphia. You brought
Philadelphia.
Yoo-Hoo to Philly, bro. And then the suit.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you brought the suit.
Did I ask you? How did I find out about the Yoo-Hoo?
Yes, you asked me. So what do you like to drink? Thinking I'm going to say beer or something. I said Yoo-Hoo.
No, that's a holy water.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had the happy talent is equals a good production. So, can I tell my favorite Vince Russo story? We talked about it earlier today, so it's anticlimactic for you. We bring you out. I have somebody else pick you up, not from our crew, which was a mistake. I thought I trusted this particular promoter. Turned out it didn't work out with him, but he dispatches somebody to get you. The first call I get from Vince Russo is from the airport. Yeah, I'm here. I don't see anybody. Is anybody going to pick me up? I said, yes, he's actually there. Let me call him, text him. Vince is by the baggage, whatever. A couple of minutes later, Sean, there is nobody here. I am alone. Nobody's driving me. I said, stop being hysterical. The guy's texting. He's right there. He's right. So do you have it? He's here. I just got him. We'll go into the car. All right. So, okay, it's fine. They're on the road. The phone's ringing again in a couple of minutes. Sean, is there any way you can get me So I thought you found him. You had the guy. He said, listen, his defogger does not work. We're in torrential rain. We cannot see on the turnpike. He's trying to wipe the outside window while driving with a rag.
Or a McDonald's
his
bag.
underwear,
Who
something.
knows what it was, bro.
I said, Jesus Christ, God help me. I will come. Just tell me where you are. They give me an address. I pull up to a gas station in Elizabeth, New Jersey. You are alone, and he's left. He has left. His job is done. No explanation for me, no apology. This, I guess he was an indie worker that they dispatched to, is gone. Vince is in a window in a gas station looking like the end credits of a Saturday afternoon special about an abandoned child. And I pull up, Vince gets in the car and goes, bro, this guy had garbage piled in the back seat to the ceiling. How embarrassed was I?
What a horror show that was.
To have you down here.
And that's why you picked me up today.
And I came today myself because I never pick up the talent, but I made it a point to be there. You're one of these few guys that's been able to do almost all of our shows. We have very specific themes, so only certain guests can do each show. You Shoot is for a lightning rod, somebody who's going to generate a lot of passionate fan response, whether good or bad. Obviously, you were able to do that. Guest booker, someone who's booked or written for a major wrestling promotion. You were able to do that. Timeline, someone who worked in a company or atop a card for a company for at least an entire year. You were able to do that both for WWE and our WCW strand. Someone with a troubled background, so raised in a home with a dominating mother. You're able to do this show. When you look back, you've kind of done everything in the business. You were on camera, you were behind the scenes, you're a major player. They may never write your name in the encyclopedia that WWE produces, but it should be there.
I'm in there.
Oh, you're in. Okay,
Somebody,
all right. So you're in
wants
there.
to me to sign there. That was freaking shocked. Like
Right.
I can't believe I was in there.
Is it something you're proud of? All
No,
these accomplishments?
God,
No, you're not proud of the accomplishments in this business.
No.
In any business, if you get to the top of the industry, you're showered, you're lauded with gifts and with recognition, but you don't see it that way for wrestling.
Sure, you know what people don't. Here's the thing I get all the time that freaking cracks me up, bro. Like, the comment I get all the time is, oh, Vince Russo said this, and Vince Russo said this, and Vince Russo did this, and Vince Russo did this because he's trying to stay relevant. Okay? First of all, bro, I'm the first guy to say I want everybody to leave me alone. Like, I don't like people. Like, leave me alone. I don't want to be relevant. I do a show 5 days a week on Podcast One and the Realm Network, and especially the Realm Network because I have paid subscribers. So my work ethic on the Realm Network is going to be just like I was writing TV for Vince at the WWE. There's going to be no shortcuts. They're going to get a show 5 days a week, and I'm going to give it my all. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to have a stroke when I do my show. But the point of the matter is, no, bro, I'm not trying to stay relevant to this day. I'm doing a freaking job and trying to earn a living. Sean, I never wanted to do any of this. You know, we sit here, we talk about Jim Cornette and Bruce Pritchard and Paul Heyman. You know, these guys started in the business. You know, Bruce will tell you I was selling programs at 8 years old.
Right.
And
Corny was taking pictures.
No, bro, like I was a wrestling fan no more than I was a baseball fan. I wasn't crazy for wrestling. I wound up getting into the wrestling business because I needed a job because my video stores just went out of business. It was always a job, and I always approached it as a job. Bro, you and I still want to be Howard Stern. Bro, to this day, I want to be on the radio. I've always wanted to be on the radio. If I could have been on the radio over doing anything in wrestling, I would have took that in a heartbeat. As a matter of fact, I'm just moving back to Denver. I've made some connections. I want to be on the radio in Denver. I've not stopped having that dream. So I just have to be honest. When I look back at wrestling, it was more negative than positive. Because here's the bottom line. You could say whatever you want to say about me. You love me, you hate me, I'm an idiot, David, okay, whatever the freak you want to say. I could tell you this right now. In my position as the head writer, in the history of the business, and there are some people I don't even know about. No, in that spot, nobody worked harder than me. Period. On this, nobody worked harder. Nobody had my passion. Nobody took the pride in their job that I take. And so, like that, I am proud of. I am proud of when all is said and done. I can look in the mirror and I can look at my kids and I could say I did the best job I possibly could. As far as everything else, the negatives far outweigh the positives. They just do. I'm just being honest.
The Cornette Russo thing, which you mentioned a few times, would, bubbles to the surface every year or so, or 2 years, and then it kind of goes down to just being some accepted, known song that maybe has been played too many times, and then the tune changes a little bit a couple years later and it bubbles to the surface. Well, it's back to the surface now, I guess, because what's changed is you both have podcasts, so you're both reaching mass audiences rather weekly. So in his case, weekly, you're on a little more. But how is it different this time? Is it because you're responding this time? And in the past, I even wrote you privately one time, and said, I think I even said, you've usually taken the high road with this. What's this all about? Well, just kind of seemed maybe like you were poking the bear a little. Why is it different this time?
Well, I mean, Sean, I could tell you, I've tried everything with this guy. I'm worn out. I mean, I have tried everything with this guy to the point of let's have a one-on-one debate. Let's have a moderator there at the debate. Put it on, what is it, IPPV, whatever?
iPay-per-view.
Put it on iPay-per-view. Charge $10, whatever the hell you want. Give every freaking penny to the cauliflower out. I don't want a dime.
Yeah, I heard you say that.
I want this to end. Okay? Kenny Bolin. I became very good friends with Kenny Bolin, who has known Jim Cornette for 43 years. Okay? Behind the scenes, Kenny Bolin was trying to set up some kind of a meeting or anything. I went as far as to tell Kenny Bolin, tell Jim, I'll come out to Louisville. I'll sit down with him. I'll meet him. He could say whatever he wants to my face. Let's get it all out of the open. Let's end it. And I'll never say a word about it. He can continue on with his shtick on the radio. But I'll know that there's peace with you. But he can keep doing. I'll never tell anybody. I went to that extent. Jim Cornette said no. Okay? So he's, I tried taking high road. Finally, bro, he went on some podcasts. I don't know what triggered it. I can't remember what triggered it. He went on a podcast on his show, and he took it to like a whole different level. And here was the difference now. I was only living 2 hours from him now. I'm in Evansville, Indiana. He's in Louisville, Kentucky. So now I'm within driving distance from him. I'm not in Colorado anymore. I'm in driving distance from him now. So he went on and cut a podcast that was way over the line. I mean, like he said the worst things I've ever heard him say. Like it almost didn't sound like shtick anymore. It sounded like this was raised to a whole new level. He said stuff about my mother, who had just passed away. He said some things about my wife, who he has nothing to do with the wrestling business. And, he's going to find out where I live. He's going to send somebody to my house, all these things, right? So now I was still going to leave it alone. And now I started hearing from a lot of people that are friends of mine. And they said basically, bro, he's he's gone off the deep end. I mean, this isn't just a wrestling promo. This isn't a typical Cornette promo. And they basically said, you know, you need to address this, because they felt that if I didn't address it, they really weren't sure what he was going to do with me living so close. See, people don't understand, bro, and we talked about this earlier today, Sean. Bro, the fear isn't I'm afraid of Jim Cornette. Bro, if Jim Cornette wanted to, literally, bro, if Jim Cornette wanted to have a boxing match with me, and, okay, we'll meet at this location, bro. You have a trainer, I have a trainer. We'll put on the boxing gloves, okay? We'll beat the shit out of each other, and we'll leave it all right there. Bro, I would do that tomorrow. I would do that in what? That's not it. But what happened was, so I started getting all these, you know, Vince, you got to dress, you got to dress. Well, I put out a YouTube video. But I didn't freaking bury Cornette, you know, oh, your mother this and blah, blah, blah. I didn't do that. I kind of used my brain and was kind of creative, and I set it up as like, all right,
apology.
Jim, you want an apology from me. I apologize that you fell off the scaffold and blew out your knees because you were a mark and didn't know how to bump. I apologize that Vince McMahon chose me over you. I apologize. Everything I said was a fact. Everything I said was a fact, but...
You know where Cornette was when you uploaded it? He was here,
okay,
doing our show.
All right.
And I guess I saw it on Twitter or something first. And I said, wow, I said, an apology to Jim Cornette. And I mentioned, I said, Jim, do you know anything about Vince apologizing to you? He's like, no, I didn't hear that. So we sent, who'd we send outside? Was it you?
Probably was, yeah.
I think I sent Adam outside. I said, could you just listen to this first?
You're such a shit star, man.
And make, no, listen to me.
Bro,
you're not listening.
You're killing me,
Listen,
bro.
I said, can you make sure that this is legit before we talk about it at all?
And
Because
you
we
went
were in
out
the
and
middle
you
of work.
listened and you
He
went-
came
you
back
went
and said,
hysterical, right?
he came back and said, don't play it. And I said, okay, forget about it. Forget I mentioned it, Jim.
Right.
And we went on.
And he
But-
went back to his hotel room that night and...
Undoubtedly, because he addressed it eventually, so he did hear it. But
Well, that drove him over the deep end.
Yeah.
So, bro, that got over 100,000 downloads. So I'm thinking, okay, bro, fine, I did it, you know, blah, blah, blah. So now, see, this is again what, because, I'm a pussy with the order of protection and this, that, and the other thing, right? Okay, see, can I tell you something too, bro? These wrestling journalists, right, bro? I file an order of protection against Cornette. Ask me how many of them called me to find out why. Zero. Not one freaking person. They all wrote about it, not one freaking person. But anyway, so I cut that video. Okay, next thing I know, I get a call from Kenny Bolin. Kenny says to me, Vince, I've known Jimmy for 43 years, okay? He's never said things to me in public the way he said them to me after that video. And I said, Kenny, what are you talking about? And Kenny told me flat out, he is talking about sending somebody to your house to take care of you. And Kenny Bolin said, Vince, I'm telling you, I'm not saying anything's going to happen, but knowing him for 43 years and knowing this story for as long as it goes on, if I were you, I would get an order of protection just to be on the safe side. Now, you got to understand something, Sean. I lived in Evansville, Indiana. I lived in a log cabin, okay, in the woods. Bro, there's like a long winding road to my log cabin. Bro, there isn't a neighbor in sight. It was very, very secluded. So immediately I'm thinking in my mind, bro, here's literally what I've never said this story before. I'm going to tell you where this went. So now here's what I'm thinking in my mind. I live in the woods. There's not a neighbor in sight, okay? God forbid I'm not home and some truck pulls up my driveway, you know, with the good old Confederate flag, you know, on the hood or whatever, and my wife is home by herself. Okay? Like, God forbid, you know, something like that would happen. Bro, the next thing I know, okay, I'm calling my brother-in-law, who has about dozens of freaking firearms. And I called my brother-in-law and I said, his name is Jeff. I said, Jeff, you need to lend me a gun, just in case. This is what, and bro, I don't think for a second Jim Cornette's coming to mind. Bro, Jim Cornette, when I left the WWE, bro, he called my house, he threatened to kill my family, my kids heard it, the whole 9 yards. He went on and on and on. The minute I was next to him, face to face like this at TNA, he did nothing. We worked side by side for years. He could have did anything he wanted to me. He did nothing. So it was never a threat of Cornette doing so. I'm afraid of Jim Cornette. I'm a big pussy. No, bro. God forbid a fan of Jim Cornette's.
They might see it as a call to action for them to.
Bro. Next thing you know, I'm talking to my brother-in-law about it. My brother-in-law comes to my house with a freaking shotgun, showing me how to use the freaking shotgun. When I got to that point, I was like, this is freaking ridiculous. Like, this is freaking wrestling. Like, seriously, bro? This is wrestling. I'm gonna shoot somebody in my driveway? Seriously. And that's when at that point, I took up Kenny Bolin. I got the order of protection. Okay, bro, I don't know if people know how order of protections work.
Did you have to play the podcast for the judge?
I had to give him a transcript.
Okay.
So the judge literally read the transcript of him threatening my wife, going to find out where I live, sending somebody to my house. Immediately, the judge gave me an order of protection. Okay? So my whole thing was like, I wanted to accomplish 2 things. Okay, number one, I wanted to accomplish 3 things. Number one, hopefully, bro, just leave me the F alone. Enough. Leave me the F alone. That's number one. Number 2, God forbid somebody came to my house, okay? Now it would be tracked to him. Oh, well, so-and-so came to his house, but he's got... Okay, so that's number 2. But number 3, this is what I really wanted. Jim, claim it as a victory. Claim it. Take it as a victory. Look what I did to Russo. Look, he had to get an order of protection. That pussy, take it as a victory, bro. You won. I'm a pussy, bro. I'm afraid of you. You won. Here's an order of protection. End it. Okay? Bro, this guy, something's not right upstairs. Bro, he takes a legal document that an official judge signed off on, okay? He makes a whole website about this now, and he's selling the order of protection online. And to make it worse, bro, he's trying to guise it by giving half of the money to charity. Bro, can you imagine what would have happened if I would have went back to the freaking prosecutor and said, I filed this order of protection. This is what he's done with it. He's gone online, he's selling it, and he has tied a charity into. Can you imagine? The judge would have went freaking ballistic. But I didn't do that because at the end of the day, I still want what I wanted 17 years. Leave me the freak alone, bro. I don't say anything about you. I don't cut promos on you on my podcast. What do I have to do for you to leave me alone?
He, I guess, has attributed his anger to what you've done to the wrestling business. Okay, it's a broad statement, but as best I can understand it, that's why he says he's this angry. There were a lot of people that have done things to the wrestling business that he probably doesn't agree with, Vince McMahon being one of them. But this doesn't go on with Vince McMahon. Or why this amount of vitriol towards you?
Bro, I was chosen over him twice. Bro, you know how I talk about Christianity? Here's the difference between somebody like Jim Cornette and somebody like Vince Russo, okay? We were on the cusp of the Attitude Era, okay? It was Cornette, Vince Russo, and Vince McMahon. As these meetings went on, the Attitude Era was starting to develop. I'll never forget, bro, on Vince's birthday, not even thinking anything about attitude. None of that stuff was ever said. The word attitude was never used. This is why I do believe things happen the way they're supposed to be. Bro, on Vince's birthday, this is probably back in 96, or I don't even remember. What an idiot I was, bro. I want to give Vince McMahon something for his birthday. What the frick is Vince Russo going to buy Vince McMahon? I mean, come on. Bro, you know what I do? I go to the store. I see this T-shirt. Here's what the T-shirt says. Don't give me any of your attitude. I have enough of my own. And I gave it to Vince for his birthday. Okay, so the three of us are there. I'm starting to pitch this attitude more realistic. They think we're going to go left, we go right, throw the wrestling one-on-one handbook out the window. And I could see Vince's list. You got to understand, bro, they're at the red at this point. He's got, people don't understand the financial trouble they were in at that point.
Yeah.
He's got nothing to lose, you know? So I could see him. Meanwhile, there's Cornette. Let's put so-and-so in a box. When somebody comes out of a box, they're immediately over. And we were on such two separate pages, okay? So, Sean, every meeting was wound up with me and him going at it, okay? Keep in mind, I'm still the...
Going at it, having opposite ideas,
Yes.
or are you arguing with each other?
Both.
Okay.
Keep in mind, I'm still the editor of the magazine, okay? I never campaigned to be the writer of Raw, to be the head writer of Raw. It's just the way the thing played out. I was hired as the editor of the magazine. I was perfectly happy doing the editor of the magazine. I never once said, I want to write the television show. That wasn't even on my
So why
radar.
were you in those meetings?
Because the ratings got so low.
He wanted input from everybody.
That's when Vince took the Raw magazine, threw it down in front of everybody, and said, this is what needs to be on the television show. And Cornette was there when that happened. So now this is happening. So now I go into Vince's office, okay, and I say, Vince, bro, we're wasting a lot of the company's time arguing in those meetings, Vince. We're wasting a lot of time. And this is, Sean, I swear to you, this is what I said to him. I said, listen, man, we can't keep doing this. You know, him and I are on two completely separate pages. We're wasting a lot of time. I said, Vince, I'm still the editor of the magazine. That's still my job. I still do it, no problem. But this is not going to work. And I said, if you want just you and Jim to do the TV, bro, I'll understand 100%, no problem. I'll just continue to do the magazine. But I was really telling him, Sean, I was telling him that for the benefit of the company, because we were wasting so much time in those meetings with such opposite viewpoints.
But did you ever give him an ultimatum that it was you or him?
Never. Does anybody give Vince McMahon an ultimatum? I mean, think about that, bro.
Not to fire from the company, but as far as being in the meeting. Like I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to waste your time. So either I'll be in there or he'll be in there. It can't be both of us because we keep wasting your time.
Bro, I don't remember exactly how I phrased it because it was a long time ago, but I do remember telling him, if it's Jim, I'm fine with that. I still do the magazine. As long as I still have a job, I'm fine with it. It wasn't important for me to write the television show. So I can't remember exactly how I phrased it, but it was not me or him. I promise you it wasn't that, because I was really telling him out of my concern for the company. So he didn't say nothing. It was like he just listened to me, you know, okay. Next time I went to his house for a creative meeting, nobody was there. It was me and Vince. He never told me about the conversation with Cornette. It was just him and I. That's it. Now, here's the bottom line. This is the difference between Jim Cornette and Vince Russo. If I were Jim Cornette, okay, I would have looked myself in the mirror and said, okay, why did Vince McMahon choose Vince Russo over me? Is it because I was very stuck in my ways? Is it because I wasn't willing to change? Could I have done something differently? I would have looked at myself. The problem is Cornette never looked at himself. It's
He
Russo's
lashed
fault.
out at
He
you.
stole my job. It's Russo's fault. He cost me money. No, Jim, Vince McMahon chose me over him because we were thinking along the lines. I was not closed-minded, only wanting to do things. There was a million reasons why he decided to go with me. Fast forward to TNA, okay? Jeff Jarrett has this great idea. He's going to bring Vince Russo and Jim Cornette in to work together. Old school and new school. If you guys can work together, it'll be great. I said, Jeff, not a good idea. It's your company, whatever you want. So Jeff brings the both of us in, and we're working together. Cornette never said a word to me about the WWE. Nothing. Zero. We're working together, working together, working together, working together. All of a sudden, one day, I'm in freaking Toys R Us in Nashville, Tennessee. I get a call, screaming at me on the other side of the phone. Vince, why didn't you tell me about Jeff and Karen? You made me look like an absolute idiot. Why didn't you tell me about Jeff and Karen? It was Dixie. I'm like, Dixie, I have no idea what you're talking about. What are you talking about, Vince? I went to a party at Jeff's house, and Jeff and Karen were together as a couple. And Jeff told me that he wasn't seeing Karen. Why didn't you tell me this? You should have let me know. Bro, I knew nothing about what was going on with Jeff and Karen. I knew nothing about it. She was freaking livid. Okay? So, of course, from that point on, it's top secret meetings in the freaking office. I was scheduled to go to vacation at Universal Studios. Sean, I had not gone on vacation. It was my wife and daughter in 10 years. The whole time I'm on Universal, I'm on the phone with freaking Dixie. The whole freaking time.
Over the Jeff Jarrett?
Over the Jeff Jarrett.
What does she want you to do?
She's telling me, I am sending Jeff home. Will you be able to write the show? And I'm like, well, Dixie, I pretty much was writing the show. I mean, I was pitching everything to Jeff. I mean, Jeff had the final say-so, but yeah, I'm capable of writing a show. So she sends Jeff home, Dixie, okay? But what else does Dixie do? She was so hot and so irate and so bullshit that she sent those home with Jeff that she associated with Jeff. And the two on that list, and it makes all the sense in the world, were Jim Cornette and Dutch Mantell. So she sends Jeff, Cornette, and Dutch Mantell home. So now here's Cornette. Look, he cost me a job again. This is the second time he took. Bro, I didn't take money out of it. I didn't tell Jeff Jarrett to have a freaking affair with Karen Angle.
Did you talk to Jim at that time?
No, I didn't have any conversation with him. Dixie called him, or whoever she had call him, and basically said, that's it. Now, just so you know, you want to know the facts, I'll tell you the facts, bro. Now, Jim Cornette writes Terry Taylor, who was the head of talent relations, this email, okay? Literally saying in the exact quote in the email, if I thought I could get away with killing Vince Russo, I would kill him.
Right.
Okay? Terry was so concerned with the email, he showed me. Okay? So Terry said, Vince, I think you need to talk to, I can't even remember his name, the TNA lawyer at the time. Okay? So Terry sends the email to the TNA lawyer. Okay? And you know, bro, you got to understand something. When Cornette's talking about killing people and this and that, in the wrestling business, like we've all heard this before, you give this to a TNA lawyer, he's freaking out.
Right.
You know, because he doesn't understand, bro, this is Cornette, you know. So the lawyer calls me back. He's very concerned. Vince, we're not going to have anybody threaten any of our employees. We're not going to have anybody threaten you, this, that, and the other thing. He says, this is what I want to do. And I said, what do you want to do? He goes, I want Dixie to call Jim Cornette, and I want Dixie to tell Jim, I want to talk about, you know, coming back, working with us again, fly down to Orlando, let's sit down and have a meeting. Vince, the minute Jim Cornette gets off the plane, I will have the authorities there to arrest him for terroristic threats. Okay, that's what the lawyer wanted to do. And I said, bro, no. I said, I don't want that. I don't want Jim Cornette arrested. all I want is for Jim Cornette to leave me alone. I've been saying that, Sean, for 20 years. Bro, can I tell you, let me tell you what it's going to come down to. And I don't care if he hears this, because this is what it's going to come down to. And I almost feel like this is what I want it to come down to. Okay? You saw what happened with him and Santino Morello.
Yes.
Okay. There's going to come a time, bro, where we're going to be in the same place at the same time. And, bro, you know how, like, you can push somebody, and you could push somebody, and you could push somebody, and, bro, that person can be a Christian man, that person can be a forgiving man, but you can push somebody so far. There's going to be a time, bro, when I'm going to come face to face with him, and I literally am going to say, Jim, take the first shot, but I'm telling you right now, you better freaking kill me with it. I'm telling you, bro, because like that's how far he has pushed me, to the point of I almost look forward now to the time we come face to face, because I will say, bro, go hit me, because I'm not gonna I will not throw the first punch. I'm not gonna be charged with assault or anything like that. I'm gonna say, go ahead, bro, but I'm kill me with it, because it's. Sean, you have no idea of 20 freaking years. It's freaking enough. We're 56-year-old men. I don't hate this guy. I don't even dislike him. I just want him to leave me alone.
Well, hopefully it never comes to that.
Well,
hopefully everyone leaves everyone alone.
Where
You're
else is it going to go?
able to have your
where else
existence.
is it going to go?
I think maybe reason can intercede, and I don't think. I think maybe he'll realize his quest isn't as important as he thinks it is at this point, too. All right, let's move to some personality questions here. What's on your Netflix queue, if I were to bring that up right now? I recommend After Porn Ends, a great documentary about what happened to Jamie Gillis and all the greats.
I've been wanting to watch that, but like every time I'm flicking through Netflix, like my wife's in the room and I'm like, I can't watch it.
I mean, it is a serious documentary, but there's
the
visuals are, they hold nothing back with footage. So
I want to see this. Somebody was telling me about there's a good Courtney Love. About the Kurt
Courtney and Kurt?
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I know I want to see that one. But
did you see Making a Murderer?
I saw that
was very good.
Yeah. I'm not a big Netflix guy.
Yeah. What about your, you have an iPod? What's on the iPhone? The iPod, the iPhone, the iPad, the everything. What are you listening to? Rock and roll over still?
Old school, bro.
Old school? Yeah. Any old school rap?
I hate rap, man.
No?
I'm racist.
Not even like the Public Enemy stuff?
I'm racist, bro.
Right, you don't listen to them spooks. All right, how about cuisine, favorite cuisine? Now, not what you can get in Colorado or Evansville, Indiana. If you had a choice, what would you have?
Bro, I'd probably say good old pizza, New York pizza.
New York pizza.
Style pizza.
Whenever I bring somebody, like when Glenn came up, I said, let's get something. He goes, listen, if you guys get me like a big Brooklyn pie, I would love that. So that's what we got. We got a giant piece. He had about 14 slices. Favorite junk food?
Bro, like, I stay away from it, bro, for that. I could eat like potato chips all day. But I stay away from them. I don't need them because, and bro, White Castles, man.
Oh,
belly bombs,
I don't even know. I don't have them very frequently, but I don't think I could live anywhere with the knowledge that I couldn't have one if I needed one. What is it about? Is there cocaine in them? What is it about them?
Bro,
that
was a
so
good
different?
thing. Evansville had a freaking White Castles. That was the highlight when I went there. And bro, and you know Schlotsky's Deli? No. You ever hear of Schlotsky's? Well, bro, first of all, they had a White Castles. And in Schlotsky's Deli, they had a Carvel machine. Oh. So, like, that was the highlight of the last 8 months.
Wow, a Carvel machine.
Yeah. And it was authentic.
Yeah, what is it in those White Castles? First of all, is there any White Castle that's not in the ghetto? Where was it in Evansville?
Bro, when I grew up on Long Island, West Hempstead, man. That's where we went.
What was West Hempstead like?
West Hempstead, we were the only white people at White Castles.
Well, I'm not saying it has to be black to be a ghetto, but...
I'm not just saying, but we were the only white people in White Castles.
Uniondale, also an area probably that you wouldn't want to be caught at night.
Yeah. Roosevelt.
Right. Road food. What did you used to do when you were on the road all the time? What was your favorite stop?
Freaking eat like shit. Fast food all the time.
Yeah.
Sucked.
Give me a guilty pleasure. When I asked Nash, I could give you all day to guess his guilty pleasure. Spandau Ballet's True. When it came on the radio. And Careless Whisper.
Bro, he had that.
You think he had that in his pocket?
God, bro, come on.
With his hand? Go ahead, guilty pleasure.
Guilty
of any
pleasure,
kind.
man.
Song, movie. Do you love Dirty Dancing? Do you watch Dancing with the Stars?
Bro, I'll tell you this, and this will
Real Housewives?
This will totally, worse than Real Housewives, bro. This will totally kill me. Okay, and I'm gonna say it. I don't care. Bruce Pritchard may say I'm lying about this. I love my records, bro. Bro, can I tell you something? The greatest thing in the world. You think all these people hate me, everybody hates me, right? Bro, you know the Amazon wish list?
Mm-hmm.
I got an Amazon wish list. All I put is vinyl on it. Bro, I swear to you, I get a new album every day.
I don't think that's a guilty. I don't think that's anything you have to feel guilty
No.
about.
I'm getting to the guilty
Oh,
pleasure.
okay.
But I love my vinyl. But I'm telling
right.
you, my listeners, my subscribers, bro, they send me vinyl every day. Bro, I swear to God, I put like 10 on there at a time, and like the third week, I got to refill it. I get vinyls in the mail like every day. I love my records, bro. That's like my hobby.
Should I be doing an Amazon gift? What do you tell your fans?
Yeah.
How do you not look like a douchebag?
Oh, I tell them, listen, bro, you want this kind of entertainment. Come on, man. Dig in your pocket, bro. I've got to have. I tell them flat out, bro. And I think the same thing. Like, how can you buy me an album when I'm freaking telling you got to buy me an album? Bro, I tell them, like, they'll call my show, my call-in show, and they'll ask a question. And like, if I see somebody calling in like a second time, I'm like, bro, when's the last time you visited my wish list? No more questions for you until I...
But because the wish list is so public, do you feel you have to create an image for yourself by what you put on there? Like you couldn't
hell
put
no.
like a giant dildo. You have to
No.
Now what records are you putting on? Is it like the cool shit or
No, I don't give a shit. I don't
So,
put anything on there.
guilty
Here's my
pleasure.
Bro, I probably have, bro, I got thousands of albums. My hobby is, and it's not even a guilty pleasure because it's a hobby, bro, I'm a thrift store guy. Like, I'll go to freaking Goodwill 5 days a week. I'll go to the Ark. I mean, I look for the treasure, you know what I mean? I'm constantly on the hunt. So I probably got about 2,000 albums. Bro, not feeling guilty at all whatsoever. And, bro, I got every classic album you could imagine. Where's my thing? Here, look, I'm going to show you something, bro. Here, you can show the camera. Oh, I got to lay crap. Hold on.
Streisand? I'm trying to think of what it would be.
Look at this first look.
Is it the particular album that is the
Bro.
guilty pleasure?
Bro, scroll through this. That's every album I own. Okay, every album. So you could see, bro. I got everything.
I'd like to tell everyone "Victory" by the Jacksons. Is
Yeah,
on
I
here,
mean,
by the way.
bro,
I'll just
come on.
point
There's
this out.
everybody on. The
But
gamut.
other than that, I'm not seeing anything. What the fuck is Red October? Oh, Jefferson Starship.
Bro.
All right,
forget it.
Jethro Tull, a little Jim Croce.
I'm a Jim Croce mark.
A lot of Jim Croce, as a matter of fact.
Croce.
Holy shit, I'm still scrolling through Jim Steinman.
Yeah, Jim Simon had one album that he wrote for Meatloaf. It's hard.
All right, but what is it that I'm missing? There's going to be one that's.
And I have no
I'll tell you.
problem.
Let me
Listen.
see if it correlates with any of mine. Tone Loc's "Locked After Dark."
Worse.
1988.
I have no problem
Whenever
at
I
any
sang-
given time.
When I sang along to that, and I sang the lyric, wake up in the morn, look in the mirror, see my face, sexy brown like syrup. I always felt like a poser. I would sing it,
That
but
sounds dirty.
I didn't have a brown face.
I have no problem throwing this on my turntable, and I have
go.
no problem letting people know I throw this on my turntable. That's how real I am. You know, Enzo, the realest guy in the room, bullshit. Huh? No problem. Throw it right on there.
The Partridge Family.
I throw them right on there, bro. I
It
sing
is here.
along. I woke up in love this morning. I think she loves. I think I love you. What am I so afraid of?
That's because that's a TV reference, and you're a classic TV guy.
I'll show you one more, bro. Okay, let me show you one more. You'll get a kick out of this.
Yes.
Only you will appreciate this.
You must have a copious amount of Tom Jones.
Oh, forget it, bro.
What did you think about his comeback album in the '90s, The Lead and How to Swing It? No.
I don't buy any of those.
Okay.
Bro, I take great pride in this color. First of all, you know Tenacious D. I got every Tenacious D album. I take great pride in this collection. Hold on.
Tiny Tim.
Got about 5 or 6 Tiny Tim albums that are very hard
But
to
they're
find.
unlistenable, right? Like
Oh,
you don't,
no.
with an extra hour in the day to kick back and relax, you're putting on a Tiny Tim record.
Yes, bro, the legend, man. Yeah.
Is his appearance on Stern, where he goes over all the products, not the greatest thing in the world?
Bro, give me your top 3 Stern return guests of all time. Top 3. I want to see if we're close. And think. Really think.
In reverse order or any particular order?
Give me order. Give me reverse order.
The greatest ever is Pat Cooper.
Oh, bro.
Pat Cooper.
Oh.
You had a hook. You had a hook. You had a hook. I am
Hold
the
on.
genius of myself, and you are the genius of yourself. Who can go to some of the classics? Like not Whack Pack, right? You want like celebrity guests?
No, Whack Pack, but not official Whack Pack.
Kenneth Keith was always fun on the Channel 9 show because of the visual antics. I hear people clicking off the show at this point. You actually have Pat Cooper records.
Three
Yeah,
of
that's hardcore. That's hardcore. Is he still alive? He's still alive, right?
What a guest he was, bro.
Yeah, he was the greatest ever. The early Kinnison stuff in the 80s was great because he was always out of his... Non-celeb. Well, he was a celebrity. Well, I mean, listen, all the Whack Packs guys were great. Beetlejuice, Bigfoot. I was a big fan of the later Bigfoot. He was a late addition. Let's see. Give me your top 3. Well, I think
Coop is fantastic, bro. Wow, it's hard to do 2 in 1. I think I'm gonna do 2 in 1. Number 2, the Jesus Twins.
Yeah, you know what happened to that guy?
Yeah,
right?
got shot by the police.
By the cops.
Bro, do you know what I'm talking about?
Greater than the
my-
Jesus Twin was that manager Jonathan that they had on.
Bro.
That was the mouthpiece. He should have been in the WWE.
I can't tell you how many times I've played that show over. I can't.
I watched that on.
just
I've
can't
watched
tell
that on
you.
YouTube before too.
But, bro-
you know, you want to know the big secret with that? I think that they were marketable.
Bro, that song was great. My Ubiquity.
Feel My Ubiquity, for Christ's sake.
That was a phenomenal song, bro.
They had a full horn section, from what I remember, right? Bro. They had a whole thing going. Jewish guys from Long Island. You probably knew them.
They were great. Number 1 of all time. Come on, bro.
Croy.
No, better than Croy. Better than good one
Yeah.
though, bro. But better, bro. Come on, he's banned from the show.
Elegant Elliot Orphan.
Oh, bro.
You're absolutely correct.
Oh my God, bro. That is the greatest freaking TV you will ever see anywhere.
How often do I text you random references
bro.
to Mr. Joseph Corson?
Rusty Nail. You're
Joseph-
a Rusty Nail. You're a Rusty
You're a beef
Nail.
stew.
You're-
Joe Corson, the bodyguard at the stage deli had a bodyguard.
Oh, man,
What is he talking
bro.
about? He was phenomenal, and he should be on the show. All right, here's the final 5. We end with these 5 questions every time, not unlike Jim Lipton, who asks those 5 questions. These are a little different. What's your most irrational fear?
Bro, you got to edit a lot out of this thing. Go ahead now.
You think? Well, what are we at? 220? Yeah,
I
we
get
can go
my what
220.
now?
Irrational fear. Your most irrational fear. Some people like fear cotton.
Irrational.
Irrational. Something that people say, what?
I'll tell you what, 2 things I hate. It's not a fear, but it's a hatred. Like 2 things I hate. I hate walking through wet grass in bare feet. That freaks me out. I hate when you put it in too quick and the pee runs down your leg and you're wearing pants.
Right.
I hate
That's
that.
a post-50 thing, right?
No, it's I don't wear underwear, so it happens quite frequently.
Well, thank you for the, all right. Well, why don't we address, how has this not been mentioned as one of the more ridiculous things? Why don't you like underwear?
Real simple. When I went to college, I had a choice. You're either going to freaking wash your underwear every 5 days, whatever it is, or you're not going to wear any. So I stopped wearing underwear in college.
Does your wife say, why don't you wear underwear?
She hates it. Like,
Yeah. You wear jeans, right? Sometimes they might be wearing jeans now.
Yeah.
Isn't the rough denim abusive? The zipper? No fear about the zipper? All right, very good. All right, if you were to die suddenly, what's the one thing you'd be embarrassed to have EMS you discover in your home?
Embarrassed?
It might be the Partridge Family record. Now that I think
take
about it.
great pride in that. Jeez.
Any nude photos of Jeff Lane laying around?
Bro, that's one thing about me, bro. Can you know how like people hate me? Can you imagine if they really had any dirt on me? Bro, like I don't have a skeleton in my closet. Like I can sit here and say anything I want because I know you can't uncover anything about me that I don't have a single
You're
skeleton.
boring, and you have been
I
for a
don't-
long time.
I don't.
Yeah.
One thing that I would
In
do,
the house, that's embarrassing. You wouldn't want someone to come across. Do you have any bizarre underwear or none, actually, now that I think
I got
about
no
it?
underwear. Let me come back to that.
All right, sure. Who plays Vince Russo in the movie of your life?
Oh, I know this because I planned this already. Oh, what's the guy's name from Vision Quest?
Oh, Jesus, Matthew Modine?
Yeah.
Really, of all people?
Yeah, when he was young, he would have played me. Yeah.
What about Michael? What's his name? He calls into Stern all the time. He plays fantasy football with them, Michael.
Oh yeah,
What's his
Rapahoe.
name?
What a great
Rappaport,
get!
yeah.
That's great stuff too, man. Great stuff.
He might be able to pull off a convincing Vince Russo, I think. He's got the New York thing
Yep,
down.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, dinner with any one person, dead or alive.
Wow. Well, I got to work with Kiss, so that was cool.
Would it be Lou Albano? Would it be someone historical, perhaps? Are you an admirer of Abraham Lincoln?
You know who it would probably be, bro?
Hillary Clinton.
No, she's a woman. It wouldn't be Hillary Clinton, and it wouldn't be a black person, a Mexican, or a Japanese.
Right.
So you rule them out.
All out.
Groucho.
Really?
Yes.
How about late Groucho when Howard does the late Groucho? When I worked with
Oh God.
Sandy Duncan. All right, you can go back and tell young Vince Russo any piece of advice.
Do not get in the wrestling business, without a shadow of a doubt, bro.
Well, goddamn, you were never in the wrestling business. You were writing bullshit TV business. That's the business you were in. Thank you for being candid.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.